Complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
And welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, folks. Drake Toll here alongside Armstrong Sims today on Up Tempo. Coming off of the Baylor Parade Day yesterday, what Scott Drew called, Mac Rhodes and Scott Drew, called the biggest parade in Waco history. I mean, this place founded parades. Homecoming was founded at Baylor University, but yesterday's trounced everything the city has seen before as Scott Drew and the national champion Baylor Bears made their way through the streets of Waco to a crowd of thousands. I'm not sure they've estimated the crowd yet, but if you've seen pictures, it was unbelievable. Now, I was there. 254-339-112. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line. I was there for college football game day for Baylor and Oklahoma with a spot in the playoff on the line, a spot in the Big 12 championship on the line. And if you look at pictures of LSU or pictures of Texas A&M, Florida, I know I'm naming SEC schools, even Oklahoma though, when college game day comes to town for those events, it takes blocks. I mean, they are blocking off street after street after street because there are folks everywhere. So, yeah, I showed up to Baylor's game day against Oklahoma, and you look around and you think, well, there's a lot of students here, but, there just should be more. We should be doing more than this. Come on, Baylor Nation. I don't remember being disappointed, per se, but you wanted more from it. Same as some of those games in the Farrell Center. Midweek game against Kansas State last season when Baylor's on a 23-game win streak. And there's, 3,000 people there. And you think, come on. So one could only think, going into the parade yesterday, like, all right, what's this going to look like? Show up, and it is people packed. I mean, toe-to-toe, you couldn't move in a lot of the different areas that were right there around the parade, all the way down Austin Avenue, people lining the streets, and then a huge group of folks that were standing right there at the end of it, the culmination where Scott Drew, Mac Rhodes, and every single basketball player spoke to the fans and gave big rally speeches. 254-339-1122. The phone lines are open. Call us if you were there last night. Call us if you weren't there last night. We would love to get the thoughts of those who also got to partake in what, again, Scott Drew and Mac Rhodes called the largest parade in city history to come through Waco. Not only that, Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared that April 13th be Baylor Bears National Championship Day for the rest of time in the city of Waco. So Dylan Meek opened that up. The mayor proclaimed that and awarded that to Scott Drew and the Bears yesterday during the parade. I'll tell you what, folks, like I said, it's moments like that where you think, all right, How is Baylor Nation going to show out? Is Baylor Nation going to show out? Because it's tough. You got a smaller alumni pool compared to a lot of these large colleges. You got a smaller group of students. It's only 18,000 compared to your 68,000 at Texas A&M, 58,000 at Texas. But yesterday, the pride that Baylor fans showed in their team, the pride that Baylor fans showed in the university was remarkable as the streets were packed out. I mean, most folks couldn't even see. Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line 254-339-1122 is also open as well. Call us or text us today on Uptempo. J.D. Pickell, not with us today in the first hour of the show. He's going to join us at 1 o'clock. He's out walking his dog early today. Not only that, though, JD is now, he has a new neighbor. And I have a new neighbor in JD. He moved about 2 houses down. Him and his girlfriend brought over chocolate chip cookies last night. So he's got a free pass on moving to the third hour today. But with that said, now instead of JD in this first hour, we got Jason King joining us at 11:25 to talk college basketball and new hoops hires. Then at 11:45, Gracie Kelleher joins the show. Gracie was just recently elected the student body president at Baylor University to replace Sutton Hauser, who's graduating. Hoop Vision. You guys have heard of Hoop Vision. You've seen it on YouTube. It's huge. It's huge. Jordan Sperber, who does a ton of great work with college basketball, insider stuff, where he walks through a lot of Baylor's defense. What does Baylor do so well? That's Hoop Vision 68 on Twitter. You can find him there, or Hoop Vision on YouTube. He joins us at 12:05 to talk about Baylor and what made them so deadly on the court this past season. Grayson Gruntafer and the big board. That's coming up at 12:30 today, where we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting and then talk spring practice as well, because there'll be an open practice again this Saturday where Baylor football, those guys go toe-to-toe with one another, and folks can go out. It's open to the fans. And then 105, the Blonde Boys Power Hour. We'll open the phone lines again at 254-339-1122. But for now, we got Phillip Shelly on the line. We talked to Phillip plenty of times about his tenure with Scott Drew in the program. And Phillip, last night, little birdie tells me you got to do something special for the parade.
Yeah, man, that was pretty cool, getting to walk that parade. And the coolest part was seeing a bunch of guys that I haven't seen in years, and that was pretty special, connecting with those guys again.
Phillip, when you saw the alumni, one of the things that struck me was I think Scott said 120 or more alumni that were in attendance for Baylor last night that had played basketball for not just Scott Drew, but prior to that, guys that were Baylor Bears. What did it mean to you to see that many guys turn out?
Oh, it was awesome. I think it was more special that there were, because when I was there, the guys that were there when I was there are playing overseas. So it was a lot more of the guys that are either here staying home with their families this year, like Corey Jefferson taking a year off, K-Raj, Tall T, but it was cool seeing the older guys, and David Wesley, Brian Skinner, them guys being super amped, super excited about what was accomplished. That was a cool thing.
I'll tell you, running to Mamadou and those guys, that you just think back to it's been decades now, since they were throwing things down at Baylor University, and some of those guys are even recent, but it still feels so long because you had that COVID year that felt like it lasted 3 in itself. Aside from that, though, Phillip, what we were just talking about, the fan engagement, the fan participation at different events at Baylor, it's always like, what kind of crowd are you going to get? But yesterday's crowd was unbelievable.
It was insane. That's all you can. I kept waiting for a part to get when we were walking down Austin Avenue to where, okay, where's going to be the lull of people? Just like the little pocket where there's maybe like 10, 20 people. It was just packed and it just got more and more and more. And there were people off their balconies, their roofs. I mean, some guy was throwing beads out to us. I mean, it was insane.
Without a doubt, one of the more wild things that I've seen and been a part of as a Baylor supporter, someone that follows the team, the program. Not only that, but Scott Drew, all the players getting to speak. I mean, that in itself, getting to hear from those guys, the national champions, was neat.
Oh yeah, that was super cool, and it was cool to see because we actually got to see the coaching staff beforehand, before we started walking. And that was cool seeing Coach Drew again, Coach Tang, which my heart breaks for him because they filled that UTEP position yesterday. As a fan, I'm happy, but as a person and knowing him, my heart breaks for him not getting that job.
Well, I mean, Jerome Tang is one of those guys that could very easily not just get a job in this offseason, but a Power 5 job and somewhere where he could win right away at a really good program. He is the best of the best on that staff and in general.
He's probably in my opinion, and I'm a little biased, but he's probably the best assistant coach in the country. Definitely top 5 people in the country. And for him to year after year not get something, it's probably maybe God's plan, and he's waiting for the right spot. But it's like every year you think there's a perfect spot for him, or he's going to get something, and it just doesn't happen, which heart breaks for him for sure with that.
Yeah, one Jerome Tang is the next up off the bench. I mean, he's the guy that when called up out of the bullpen, he'll be there for another big time job. Phillip, our Bear Games question of the day today. So Davion Mitchell declared yesterday for the NBA draft. You've got a guy like Jared Butler, who you expect is going to go to the NBA. If not this year, which should be this year, maybe next year. Then Matthew Meyer with that kind of prospect. Mark Vidal, Maceo T can work their way up. I mean, the list goes on of NBA talent on this team. Bear Games question of the day. Who is the best NBA player, future NBA player on Baylor's roster right now?
On the roster?
On the roster.
I really like Matthew Meyer. But I also, if Everyday John, and I always call him that because I don't know how to pronounce his last name, if he can develop 15, 20-footer, I mean, a consistent 15 to 20-footer, he could be the second best prospect I think that we have.
Deadly.
You just got to be able to shoot. In the NBA now, you have to be able to shoot. If you can't shoot, you can't. You're not going to get in.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
Yep. Hey, Phillip, thanks for your call, man. Glad you got to walk in the parade yesterday. It was an awesome time for everybody in Baylor Nation.
Well, man, thank you, guys.
See ya. They got Tony on the Impact Health Labs caller line. Tony, what's going on? A day removed from the parade and about, 9 days removed from a national championship.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're still champions. That's going to be the way for the next 350 some odd days, obviously. I was at the parade last night. I didn't get to walk it, so not quite as cool as Phillip, unfortunately. But I was right up there, within throwing distance of the stage. So it was definitely amazing. And, of course, I know that I haven't seen any, pictures from above. So I would like to see that. But I know that in my little area, I couldn't move. I was about one row away from the railing itself. I mean, if I had to go somewhere, it wasn't happening. I can tell you that much right now.
Yep.
So just being there and being a part of that, and I got there at 5:30, and there were still, thousands of people there already. I can't imagine how bad it was right there at 6:30 or so. Once the parade got to the end point. But it was amazing being able to see, obviously the alumni, which y'all did talk about, you and Phillip as well, and everything else. So something that I think gets overlooked a lot, and it's been 94 years is, we had, 10, young players die 94 years ago in Round Rock on the way to play UC.
Yeah.
And I know at this point we're almost 100 years removed from that, but that in and of itself, especially growing up in that area, I literally grew up a couple of, about a mile and a half from that bridge, which at the time wasn't a bridge, but, which is now an overpass. Where they dedicated the bridge a couple of years ago. I grew up a mile and a half from that bridge. So, that's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I know that everything yesterday was about the former players and everything that was built and everything that, came before, the national championship. But I just feel that's something that gets overlooked. And I know it's a horrible, horrible time in Baylor history, but, I feel that it's still something that we need to, look upon and remember, as the Baylor family and Baylor, alumni and just, Baylor family. And so I just kind of want to throw my 2 cents in and say that the parade was amazing. I loved being there. And it was just, I'm glad that Baylor Nation showed out. So.
I love that you brought up, Tony, the Immortal 10. I think that's something that's kind of lost on a lot of folks, especially nowadays. The impact and the shockwaves that just ran through Baylor University and the entire community. None of us were there for it, and you're almost 100 years removed, but still, you lose 10 members, 10 associates of your basketball program. I mean, how do you recover from that even in decades post? You know, it's so tough. And look at like the Marshall football program, very similarly, and how tough it was for them to be able to bounce back off of that in a more modern version of the Immortal 10. But wow, I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that I feel like is lost on a lot of folks with this championship, but it still matters and it still impacts Baylor today in the way that they celebrate the lives of those 10 guys. Tony, Bear Games question of the day, though, coming off of yesterday, Davion Mitchell announcing he'll be declaring for the NBA draft. Who of the entire roster is the best NBA draft prospect on this team?
I would say Matthew Meyer just because I know that on a preliminary draft board he was like number 57, which I think y'all actually brought up in a show last week, if I'm not mistaken. So that right there says that he is, you know, granted tail end, but I mean he's already, as somebody who got limited minutes, amazingly enough, is already on a draft board.
Yeah.
And I know you take those with a grain of salt, and they can change from game to game and from year to year. But I mean that right there says that, you know, if he wanted to leave this year, that he would be drafted near the end of the second round. So I think that, you know, pretty much qualifies as him being the most NBA ready player, at least at this point right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how next year goes, but that would be my answer.
There you go. Lock it in. Hey, Tony, thanks for your call, man.
Thanks, guys. You have a good day.
You too. We got T-Rex on the Impact Health Labs caller line. T-Rex! I ran into this guy yesterday at a big old nasty parade. What's going on, man?
No, not much, man. It's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is a Wednesday. Wednesday. What is the hump day? Oh, jeez. Fire that in the sun.
Hump day, man. Basketball got over that hump. We got a natty. We got to party for last night. That parade was amazing. I'm really wondering where, like, all those people are when we actually have games.
Yeah.
They came to the parade, but, like, it'd be nice if they actually came to the games.
Yeah, that kind of crowd at the Farrell Center would be rocking on a nightly basis, but you don't always get that.
No, you know, that's okay. Hey, let's build that arena downtown, and then it won't be too far from the parade spot. So they already know how to get to that spot. They can go like 1 mile over it, get to the new arena.
Bingo. Hey, that's the thing, man. If you get the downtown arena, I know folks don't want it to be off of campus just because of Floyd Casey and had the headache that was. But think about the strip that you could build of restaurants and just the buzz in a little blocked area where, like, you go to the game, you watch the game, you leave, you go eat. You know, there's a little bar or pub, local stuff all around you. I mean, that right there it creates a really good college atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, you go to a lot of other schools, even just in the Big 12. I mean, there's exceptions to that, but, you know, and you go, a lot of them, they'll have stuff. I mean, maybe more so around football stadiums, but there are those that have great little strips around their basketball arenas as well. So, or at least within, you know, reasonable walking distance. So not only is it good for Baylor to have a brand new arena, whether that's on campus or downtown, wherever they put it, but putting it downtown, you know, creates a great economic opportunity for the city of Waco. So I know the mayor's behind it. You know, I know that they've asked Mac about it yesterday on the radio for an update, and the afternoon radio show talks about it all the time, and then we talk about it on the boards and all that all the time. I understand that, you know, Kim wants it on campus, and there's people that want it on campus, and a lot of people may not understand, like, the distance difference, and they, like you said, they think they're Floyd Casey. But I think once the plans get laid out and people see what the potential is, then, you know, their minds will open up and they'll be accepting of that. End of the day, man, Farrell Center is basically barely on campus as it is. And that's a nightmare to get into, just to, like, on a normal, you know, non-COVID year, just because there's really one entrance into that place.
Yep.
So putting it downtown, you know, I'm sure the city of Waco will do whatever they can to get TxDOT on board to make, you know, some changes to the roads as needed, whatever the case is. Maybe build a parking garage, get a private guy that wants to come in and build a parking garage and, you know, charge for that. Whatever the case is, it would be great not only for Baylor, but it'd be great for the city of Waco, the state of Texas. You know, people traveling, you come through Waco, you got a stadium on one side, you know, tiny arena on the other. Like, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It'd be great. We need to pull in North Texas. If you ever drive through Denton, where where 35 East and West merge, there's a huge North Texas being Texas flag flying. We're going to stick a huge bear claw right in the river on a 3,000-foot flagpole. And, hopefully no boats run into it. But maybe we can just strap it to the bridge and that'd be a little safer. But, we need to let people know that this is not just Waco, but this is Baylor territory. And we got to get the city of Waco involved in Baylor. And I've said this, I grew up in Waco. There has always been a disconnect between Waco and Baylor. There always has. And unless we do something about it, there always will be. We got to make it the city's team. Got to do like an SMU Dallas. I'm not saying put Waco on our football jerseys. I ain't saying that. But, got to get the city involved.
Boom. I like it. Hey, T-Rex, we got the ideas churning. We're going to make something out of it. We got Jason King coming up on the back end of this, so I'll give you our Bear Games question of the day today. NBA prospect on this team. So Davion Mitchell just committed to the NBA draft, declared for the NBA draft. Who is, top to bottom of this roster, the best NBA draft prospect? Not draft prospect, but who's going to have the best career in the NBA?
I think as it sits right now, it would be probably Jared, just based off of the hype that he would have gotten from the tournament and, the awards. Maceo, in my opinion, is right there. Matthew Meyer, I understand, is on the board, but Matthew Meyer would go straight to the G League. That's not a knock on him. And he would spend a good amount of time there. So I think Matthew Meyer benefits greatly from coming back at least one more year. So I think it'd be Jared, maybe Maceo. I think they could be 1-2 right there, but hey, it won't matter if they come back. So let's just see what they announce. I mean, I don't expect either of those two guys to come back, but we'll see what happens.
I love it. Hey, T-Rex, thanks for your call, man. Always good to hear from you.
Hey, SicEm Bears by 1,000.
Bears by 1,000 in all things. Baseball won last night, 4-1 at Sam Houston State. All right, on the back end of this commercial break, Jason King joins the show to talk to us about hires across the Big 12 and the Baylor Basketball National Championship post the parade last night. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims. Don't go anywhere. Jason King joins the show after this. This is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1. While men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump day today. Just a week and a half-ish removed from the Baylor Bears winning the national title in men's basketball parade yesterday. Still so much to break down from that. History made, legacy cemented, and Baylor can't remove it. That name right there alongside 2021 national champions. Helping us break a little bit more of that down now that we have a week and a half's perspective on it, as well as coaching hires across the Big 12. Our own Jason King. Jason, thanks for joining today.
Hey, how you doing?
Jason, the sun's shining. I woke up this morning and Baylor was still national champions. I'm not sure that I can complain.
Yeah, me either. I was in town for the parade yesterday, made the drive down, and just thought it was a great event, really well done. Thought the turnout was really strong, and it's even a week and a half later, it's still almost kind of surreal, to think this has all happened especially when you think back to 18 years ago. I remember covering that too, at the time. So just to think that, covering that story 18 years ago and then covering this is just something I never thought I'd see.
Jason, I do want to go, you talked about the crowd, seeing the turnout yesterday, the solid turnout. I remember back to Baylor and Kansas college game day, where you have almost 11,000 people. I mean, max capacity and some in the Farrell Center. And then the very next game was another home game. It was a Tuesday night, either Monday or Tuesday night against Kansas State. And there wasn't more than 2,200 people there. I mean, there were plenty more people that came to volleyball games that season than did that men's basketball game. And it disappointed me. That crowd disappointed me. So I've always kind of set my expectations to, well, what kind of Baylor crowd are we going to get? But yesterday, I really felt like Baylor Nation set a tone.
I thought so too. And, it wasn't just students. It was in Baylor alum. I felt like it was the whole city of Waco was out there. And I don't know if some of them just wanted to go to a parade because it was a cool thing to do, or if people, hopefully it's because people really fell in love with this Baylor basketball team, over the past few months. It's one thing to just sit down and watch a random basketball game, but, when you hear Baylor's in the tournament and they keep advancing and you start watching them game to game, then you get to know the players a little bit and you get to see their personalities and the coaches, and you really start to appreciate not just a good team, but the people actually on the team. And I think that's what really, keeps people coming back is again, not just the good basketball, but you really want to root for these guys. And hopefully that's what'll carry over in the next season. It's a shame that it may have took a national championship, to draw consistent sellout crowds at Farrell Center and eventually the Dew Arena. But maybe that's what, we're seeing here, because, I tell you, I was watching when we were still up in Indianapolis, Drake, the next day they showed I started watching all the video clips of all the kids at McLean Stadium and students. And, as happy as I was to see that, part of me thought, okay, how many of those people were at the Farrell Center?
Yeah.
2 years ago, how many of those students have been to a Baylor basketball game? Are they there just because it's cool to do tonight at McLean, or are they really in love with this basketball team? So I hope that, again, that this has a big carryover effect heading into the next season.
Jason, you talked about this team being lovable. And typically when I think lovable, I think of a squad I think lovable losers. Those two words go together. But this is a team that won almost 30 games this year in a national championship. How can you be so dominant but so lovable at the same time?
Yeah, I know. Usually the dominant teams, kind of play with smoke coming out of their ears and they're kind of have a couple punks on the team or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I think that this team actually did do that. I mean, as nice as guys like Mark Vital and Davion Mitchell are, and JTT and all of them. I mean, when they stepped in between the lines. I mean, they played like Vital said. They played like dogs. I don't think Gonzaga's probably thinking of them as lovable or soft or anything. So I think the reason that maybe I don't know if lovable is the right word, but I see what you're getting at. I mean, it's just because of the way they conduct themselves in interviews, the things they say, the constant harping on teamwork and caring for each other, and the selflessness and not caring who gets the stats, and being happy for each other when they get awards, and, having a good relationship with their coaches and being respectful, the body language, the energy, when Mark Vital blocks the shot or someone so gets a steal, I mean, just the smiles, and they're having fun out there. I think that's what makes them so likable.
Well, Jason, outside of Baylor, the rest of the conference has kind of been thrown for a loop here in the last couple of weeks with coaching hires, and we've struggled to cover it closely because we've been following Baylor through their national championship run. But with the new coaches, the new schools, you got Porter Moser at Oklahoma, Mark Adams, Texas Tech, Chris Beard at Texas, and then TJ Otzelberger, Iowa State. Of these four, were there any of these hires that really stood out to you as big surprises?
I think the Porter Moser hire just kind of surprised me a tad. I'm not saying it's a bad hire. I just, whenever I'm looking at, coaching openings, I always think who's going to be the best fit. I don't know how tied, Porter Moser is to that school or that region or whatever. But then again, maybe Lon Kruger wasn't either. He did great there. So I'll be interested to see how that one works out. I guess the natural move at Texas Tech was to promote Mark Adams. I think that's a nice thing they did for him. We'll see how it works. He's obviously an excellent, a huge part of their success there. But, you wonder, how he's going to recruit, what kind of staff he's going to hire, things of that sort. I think that job has become a much better job than people used to give it credit for. So that one, I don't want to say it's puzzling, but I'm not sold on it yet. And, TJ Otzelberger, was a guy at Iowa State that years ago, I mean, before they hired Prohm, a lot of people wanted him. He was a top Fred Hoiberg assistant. You know, went to South Dakota State, did well. Didn't have too much success in 2 years at UNLV. I'm not sure. You know, I don't love that hire either, but, you know, I might like it for Baylor, you know, if they keep struggling. But so we'll see how that one works. I thought there were some other guys they could have looked at there. But, you know, I do think Chris Beard will do a nice job at Texas. I mean, I'm not surprised at all that he's at the job. I've been hearing for years that was his ultimate goal, to go to his alma mater, where he can really get good, you know, high-level players and compete for championships. But then again, he was in the title game 2 years ago. So I don't know. I think he's a good coach. I think that's a good move by Texas.
Jason, of these 4 jobs, I think it stands out pretty boldly to me that Iowa State would be the toughest probably to build at, coming off of a winless game in the conference slate. However, you have the toxicity of Texas. You're losing, you know, a senior-laden group at Oklahoma, and then Texas Tech. Obviously, it seems like every player is transferred out. Is there one of these jobs that is just uniquely difficult to you?
Well, I think. You know, at Oklahoma, you're competing. I mean, that kind of has the reputation as, you know, it's a football school. How much they really get to support basketball, just in terms of fan turnout, things of that sort. You know, a lot of times the recruits that are looking at Oklahoma, the recruits that are going after, it's the same guys that, you know, Texas is going after, and I guess, you know, obviously Baylor's going after, and Oklahoma's in Kansas. You know, those high schools in Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas. So, I mean, they're competing with a lot of schools that really, really support basketball. So that might be tough at times. Lon Kruger certainly did a nice job. And when they win, when they're good, they'll certainly come out and support the team. But I never thought that was just a great basketball job, even though they have had a couple of Final Fours, you know, in the last 20 years. So, you know, the thing about Iowa State, I guess when you say unique job, that's definitely it. I mean, the good thing about Iowa State is they have a rabid fan base. And it's a really, really tough place to play, you know, when it's sold out. And more often than not, it is. But, you know, there you've got to hire a guy that's going to be good at recruiting junior colleges. You've got to hire a guy that's going to have a good eye for transfers and things of that sort. And not every coach is like that. A lot of coaches don't want to recruit JUCOs and transfers and stuff. So I think that's a little bit more difficult of a job. But I will say, once they get it rolling there, they can be really, really good, just because of that fan support and because there's a lot of good kids up in that area.
Jason, on the other hand, you've got 4 jobs that are unique in great ways. You talked about the fan base at Iowa State that makes it so tough to win in Iowa State, in Ames. And then you look at a job like Oklahoma. I mean, that's one of the big brands across all of college athletics, Texas being the same way, and Texas Tech having gone to a national championship recently. One of these schools you look at and say, okay, it's not going to be tough for this coach to build right away and be successful quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious answer is, you know, Chris Beard. It looks like he's already getting, you know, some players in there. You know, and I just think anytime you're I mean, even Shaka Smart, when he was struggling and not winning tournament games, was getting the first round draft picks there. And I think Beard will probably take that to any time, you know, in terms of guys he's going to get. Now, whether they're going to want to go in there and play, I mean, he's a very tough coach to play for. He's a good coach. He's very demanding, very tough, and a lot of times, you know, one and done caliber players, or 2 and done caliber players don't want to, you know, get browbeat every day like that. So we'll see how that works. I bet he'll do fine. I think he's really, really good. But that's just you know, they've got such a good backing, and you know, with the shoe companies and everything. I mean, I just think that everything is set up there for him to succeed.
Jason, with these 4 guys, kind of rounding out the questions, with these 4 guys and these 4 jobs, which one, if you had to put all your money down on the first one to win a national championship at their schools, who's going to be the guy that's able to get their program there?
Of the 4 new coaches, without a doubt, Chris Beard. You know, I almost think I thought we should almost just say, besides Beard, who has the best chance? I mean, you know, other than him, I mean, I would probably go with Porter Moser, number 2 on that list. You know, just for one thing, he's been to a Final Four, and 2, like you said, big state school. I mean, has a lot of built-in inherent advantages where if he does things right, they could be good year in, year out, and really build momentum instead of being like a 1-year wonder like you might see in some of the other ones. But again, I think Texas is. I think they finally got it right with Beard. Everyone loved the Shaka Smart hire a few years ago, or whatever it was, 6 years ago. I didn't love it at the time. I thought it was a bad fit. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I mean, again, hire a guy with recruiting ties in Texas. Hire a guy that knows the state. You know, they bring Shaka Smart in. He's never won a conference title at VCU. He made his name off of a nice Final Four run, and they had some solid teams after that. But again, I just thought that job was too big for him, and not just because of all that goes along with it. And everyone told me I was dumb. They said it was a natural hire, and I was right. So I just didn't think it worked very well. So I do think that this one is going to work, and you know, I think Texas is going to be a really big force to contend with. But that's good because that brings out the best of everyone, and I think it'll make Baylor better too.
Jason, before we get you out of here, we got our Bear Games question of the day. You know, Davion Mitchell declared yesterday for the NBA draft, and my question today is, who on this roster, top to bottom, whether they've started or haven't played a minute, who is going to be the best NBA player when we look 10 years from now?
I will still probably go. I'll go with Matt Meyer. Just because I think his ceiling is higher than some of the other ones that we may be talking about. I think he's really good now. I think he has but most of the tools that you need in your skill set to really do well in the NBA, just in terms of his athleticism, his height, his ability to handle the ball, although he's got to clean up the handle a little bit, but he can handle it. And his shooting, and it's just a wide array of moves and good footwork and stuff when he gets down into the basket. So I think if he mentally, is able to really focus next year and kind of rein in some of the carelessness and turnovers and things like that and really become more of a complete player, I think that he has the highest upside. But I really, think that Mitchell and Butler are going to have some success at that level too.
Hey, Jason, thanks so much for coming on with us today, breaking things down. Week and a half removed from Baylor's championship and then across the conference with these new hires. Hope to have you on again next week. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. All right, Drake. Appreciate you having me. Thanks, man.
Again, that was Jason King of SicEm365.com talking all things hoops. All right, when we come back, Gracie Keller, she was just elected the new student body president at Baylor University. She'll serve that role starting next year. We're going to talk to her. I'm Drake Toll. It's Armstrong Sims. Don't go anywhere. Gracie Keller joins the show next. This is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1, while men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dyna guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Tough day today. 9 days removed from Baylor basketball winning a national championship. The parade was yesterday. The celebration continues in the city of Waco at April 13th is Baylor men's basketball championship day for history in the city. Tell you what, we got history here. The next student body president at Baylor University, Gracie Kelleher, joins the show. Less than a week removed from finding out that you'll be the next SVP at Baylor. How does it feel, Gracie?
I am so excited. Thanks for having me today, Drake.
Absolutely. Great to have you on, and congratulations on the election. I'm sure you're absolutely stoked.
Thank you. Yes, it is for sure a bit surreal, but I'm really looking forward to it.
You know, Gracie, you had the external vice president role last year for Baylor, this past year, I guess I should say, still serving it, and now at the end of your term. Moving into this, it just feels fitting, right, almost, that you'd be in this position, one that you know a lot about.
It for sure helps, and is just an incredible blessing to be able to keep serving in this way and even take on more responsibility. But I am very grateful to have been able to learn the ropes kind of from the EVP side this year, and then take on that next step of leadership come the fall.
Gracie, walk me through kind of your last year as external vice president, what that's been like for you through COVID, working into this role and position.
Absolutely. So the EVP role is usually very event-based, which made the COVID year difficult to kind of overcome exactly what that year would look like, but we made the best of it nonetheless. And it truthfully was the best year of my college experience yet. I'm so grateful for all of just the relationships from faculty, administration, and students, and the support from the city. We accomplished a lot of things we didn't know we would do, even if that was virtual or remote. One of those things being the Big 12 conference in the fall. Baylor was supposed to host on campus this year, which was something I really prioritized, and one of the main reasons I ran for the EVP role to begin with. That obviously didn't happen in person as planned, just due to travel restrictions and all of the COVID guidelines, but we shifted it virtually, still did 2 days with all of the schools from the Big 12. And that actually allowed for more members than previous years to come. It was really efficient and time effective, and showed that we can still have that same sense of connection with other students, even if it isn't sitting at the same table in person. But Zoom breakout rooms are really useful, come to find out.
Of course, Zoom has been the new normal for everybody, and student government has certainly evolved with that as well. Gracie, your ability to serve this role in the last year, you talked about that EVP and doing it in the new normal with COVID-19, and now into election season. What did that look like for you, running for student body president in a COVID pandemic-like election season?
It was very different than last year for sure, because last year, come election cycle season, COVID had just hit and we were all at home. And I think that it was the first week that I was just at home and trying to figure that out. So then being back on campus truthfully made a big difference, even though COVID was still a factor. We got to put up billboards on campus and pass out buttons and just attend meetings of organizations virtually. But even then, it made a huge difference in just exposure and getting your name out to people, far beyond social media, because last year there was really not a lot of ways to expand beyond people's Instagram feeds. And this year there was, just with campus promotion, organization engagement, kind of stuff like that. But it was a successful election cycle from my end. And it was also nice just to have the opportunity to be able to do it full scale, pretty much the same way that I had seen it happen in years past, my freshman and sophomore year.
Gracie, walk me through, too, for those that maybe aren't familiar with you or your platform, kind of your experience in student government, and then really what you ran on in this election season.
Yeah, absolutely. So my experience, I started freshman year as a senator, and I served on the Campus Improvements and Affairs Committee. And then sophomore year, I was a senator as well, served on operations and procedures, as well as a diversity and inclusion ad hoc, working on the restructuring of student government proposals. And then obviously this past year, I served as EVP, and I got to attend the Big 12 conference my sophomore year in Stillwater, Oklahoma, at OSU, which was a big turning point in my student government career, just kind of getting to get plugged in with other students at other schools and realize how much Baylor does well and how much room we have to grow. Definitely fueled a lot of just what I wanted to do in student government. And then my platform this year really centered around advocacy, accessibility, accountability, and consistency. Those were kind of my 4 overarching points. And I think that this year we have a really unique opportunity to be a lot more administrative than in years past, and also just really serve as the ultimate resource for students and organizations as we transition back to an in-person Baylor experience. And I know we talk a lot about the new normal, but hopefully this fall will look more normal than literally half the student body at Baylor will have experienced, which is super exciting, but also puts us in a unique position to be able to really just promote the resources that not only student government, but Baylor has, and faculty that are willing to help them and students that are there to serve them as they go back into planning in-person events and in-person meetings and just kind of doing all the things that they didn't get to do this year. I'm excited to strengthen student government from the inside out and then really be able to just support students and hold their hand through some processes that might be kind of tough.
Gracie, you talk about next year moving into the fall. I first want to get to kind of your plans, your goals as student body president moving forward for Baylor. And then after that, we can separate the two, but just a little bit about how Baylor plans to, I don't want to say be more inclusive, but almost just how much are students going to be able to do in the wake of the pandemic, vaccinations being out? What's next? What's the next step for Baylor in opening things up for students?
Right. I wish I had more concise and specific answers for you. I truthfully probably have as much information as any other student just because I haven't been looped in on those conversations quite yet. But in my experience in conversations with faculty and administration, they are very confident that hopefully with the massive amounts of vaccines being rolled out and the way that we saw weekly testing go this week, that the fall will look a lot more in-person and event-based, whether that means still having some events with required masks, but most people being vaccinated would put a huge help towards having those events. So I'm not entirely sure what Baylor's next steps are yet, but I am looking forward to spending this summer learning about them and working just with Baylor to kind of tackle that issue. I can't imagine all of the work that they've put in and all of the effort that's gone into every single week thinking about each and every student and their health and well-being. But I'm really grateful for the way that Baylor's handled the situation, and just the fact that we've been able to stay on campus all year speaks a lot to our students as well as administration's commitment to keeping us here.
Gracie, along with that, looking at next season, what you want to get done, thinking to the spring of 2022, when that comes about, and you look and reflect on your year as student body president, what do you want to look back on? What do you want to see from the next year?
Yeah, some things that I'm really excited about accomplishing are, this specific project is something I'm super, super pumped for, is we got parking services to agree to let us raffle off a faculty parking spot once a semester, and those funds will go towards a scholarship fund for the counseling service or counseling center for services for students that may be referred to resources in the community but couldn't necessarily afford them or just looking for some aid in that area. And I mean, who doesn't want a faculty parking pass? That sounds like a pretty sweet deal. So I think that that's going to be something that students are eager to participate in and goes to a really good cause. As well as from an internal perspective, I'm really excited to kind of repurpose some of the offices that just have gone underutilized in the past, whether that's executive branch or judicial branch or the way that senators are functioning. I am confident in my ability of how the organization works and excited to be able to look at it from a holistic perspective and kind of figure out exactly which positions can be better used and also better plugged in with students directly. So those are two things I'm super excited about, as well as just making sure that the student body officers are really accessible to students and advertising our office hours more and being more active on social media and the internet, and just knowing that students at the forefront of their mind, they know, okay, student government is here to serve me. And I don't know that Gracie girl, but I've heard she's really approachable and I can go to her with any concern I have. Is for sure someone I want to be, as well as the rest of my team. I am going to be really consistent in the fact that everyone should ask people more questions than they are asked and make sure that we are on top of issues, hopefully before they arise. So those are, just some things that I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah. Gracie, moving from student government and your role as student body president into sports, because we are a Baylor sports program, national champions, week and a half removed. What was that like for you to see Baylor University on that stage?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I kept joking last week that it was the greatest week of my college career. That's where I was peaking. I still firmly believe that. That was so much fun. And really, my family is huge March Madness fans. So really fun for them. I'm the first in my family to come to Baylor, and our only connection here really. So my dad and I just kept talking back and forth about how it was going, and it was so much fun. I know you know that, but I think we're all campus wide is still just riding that high, and it's been awesome.
Gracie, our Bear Games question of the day for you. The last one for you today. You know, you got Jared Butler, Matthew Meyer, Davion Mitchell, this whole slew of guys on the Baylor basketball team that have NBA aspirations. Looking back 10 years from now, who's going to be the best NBA player on this team?
Oh my gosh. I think it's going to be Davion Mitchell. But I'm not an expert, but that's my take.
I'll hold it to you. Davion Mitchell's a top 10 draft pick, so I think you've got something brewing right there that might just work out. Gracie, thanks so much for joining the show today. Congratulations on being elected student body president, and I know you're excited for the next year, as we are too.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Again, that was Gracie Kelleher, student body president-elect at Baylor University. She will serve the student body over the next year, starting in the fall. Baylor men's tennis, and breaking news, Baylor men's tennis has now moved to number 2 in the Oracle and ITA team rankings. BU tennis, number 2 in the country right now, back nearing the top of the polls after a really strong performance earlier. It was yesterday. They beat Midwestern State yesterday. And then the baseball team, 4-1 win against Sam Houston State last night. All right, coming up next on the show today, I'm excited about this one. He's somebody we worked on getting on the show for a while now. You guys have heard of it, Hoop Vision. Hoop Vision is out there putting content, really strong content out on YouTube almost daily. It's Jordan Sperber is the owner of that account, and someone who makes great basketball content and made great content about Baylor all year this year. He's going to join our show, talk to us about what made this Baylor team so good and what he saw as a basketball analyst. Jordan Sperber of Hoop Vision up next. This is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1, while men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with the kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dynaguy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. 9 days removed from Baylor basketball winning the national championship. Parade yesterday, April 13th, Baylor men's basketball national championship day in the city of Waco. Couldn't be more exciting. And now on the show today, the man behind Hoop Vision. You've all seen the videos on YouTube. Jordan Sperber joining the show with us today. Jordan, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Jordan, walk us through first and foremost. Because I know you've been in the coaching world of basketball, and of course you've analyzed the game across for years. And the stuff that I've seen from your content. Walk us through your story, your history with college basketball.
Yeah, so I started a blog under the same name as it is now, Hoop Vision, in high school. And I continued it in high school and college, and no one was really reading it at that time, except the 1 or 2 people that happened to be like Division I coaches, assistant coaches mostly. And so that led, after I graduated college, to working in college basketball. I was a graduate assistant for a year and a video coordinator for 2 years for D1 programs. Learned a ton, especially about the X's and O's and stuff. I was kind of hired more for analytics initially, and then expanded my role over those 3 years. And after those 3, with all this new experience, I relaunched Hoop Vision kind of more formally as a business, where I'm breaking down college basketball for a living. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's tough to complain. Breaking down college basketball, that's for us too, getting to sit around and talk about sports all day, but from an analyst standpoint, and you get to do that. I want to go into that. Where did your love for analytics, your love for breaking down the game come from?
Yeah, well, I was always a huge college basketball fan, even before I knew, analytics it came into vogue when I was in maybe middle school or high school. Even before that, I was a huge basketball fan, and specifically college basketball fan. I grew up in Albany, New York. So there's two pretty good mid-major teams here, Siena and Albany. And so I really like mid-major basketball, probably I'm not sure there's ever been a 12-year-old that liked mid-major college basketball as much as me, and so it evolved from there. The statistical side of things always made sense to me. I was into baseball too, so I read Moneyball and kind of got the ball rolling from there.
Jordan, you talked about when you first started the Hoop Vision blog, just a couple of people that were reading it a week that were assistant coaches or basketball coaches, and now up to nearly 32,000 YouTube subscribers. I mean, hundreds of thousands of views on your YouTube videos where you break down different teams or aspects of their game. What has it been like to see your self-made business explode like this?
Yeah, it's been over the last 3 years, I've learned a ton. You mentioned the YouTube subscribers. It's my YouTube channel actually just passed my Twitter following for the first time ever. And so it's actually been surprisingly fun figuring out the content strategy side of things, which I'm sure you guys being in the business are well aware of all of that. Trying to figure out how to grow an audience and then ultimately monetize an audience, whether it's through most of Hoop Vision is actually audience funded, but then you have advertisements and other things like that. And so the business, I got into it really, for basketball, but the business strategy, media strategy side of things has been fun. And yeah, it can seem a little bit superficial to care about like Twitter followers or YouTube subscribers, but it actually does equal money for an internet business, for an online business. So it took a few months, 6 months, to realize that, no, you need to care about those things.
Jordan, for you now, obviously everything like we talked about, blowing up on YouTube, on Twitter, folks are watching your content consistently that you keep putting out. And that's a dream for any analyst, to build that following. And I know you're continuing to grow, but one of the things that you've got a really good here's what I'll say. The Baylor fan base, they love your content because all of it's so, I don't want to say pro Baylor. It's pro analytics and pro breaking down the game, but Baylor's done you've done a really good job of covering Baylor in a couple different videos. I want to start though with Baylor's no middle defense. That defense that Baylor has really been known for under Scott Drew in the last couple of seasons. And a lot of folks out there said, hey, it's so tough to win a championship with no middle. You can win games. Can you win it all, though? And here they are on the nation's biggest stage, winning it all against Gonzaga. This Baylor defense, is that what makes them so deadly?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I first did that video last year when they were one of the best defenses in the country statistically last year. And then this year they looked like it for all but about a month and a half or so. And it affected their metrics. But when in Scott Drew's post-game press conference after the national championship, he had some quote. It wasn't, you would barely even notice, but he was like, we're pretty good defensively. Someone asked him beating a historically efficient Gonzaga team, how did that feel or something? And his response is, well, we were down, they had us down in the metrics, but we were pretty good defensively. And from just a straight up, thinking about the roster, Davion Mitchell, Mark Vital, all these elite level defenders, it's hard to argue that. Now there was a 5 to 10 game stretch where the numbers were really bad and they were giving up points. And I think that the scheme might have a little bit to do with that. It's very aggressive. They're clearly no middle and they're keeping the ball out of the middle, but they also really attack you with ball pressure and then off ball help as well. And if you're not on point, you're really not on point. I think, there's a little bit more variance in the defense. And obviously there was the COVID pause, which had something to do with this as well. yeah, I think right now they finished the season as the number 22 ranked defense on KenPom, and I do think that we're a better defensive team than that number personally.
Jordan, along with that, you got a Gonzaga team that Baylor was pit with in the championship that almost every major analyst, if not everyone that I've seen, had Gonzaga winning that game. Where was the disparity between Baylor and Gonzaga that favored the Zags so much going into that game?
Yeah, well, I guess this is how I looked at it going into the game, or even the season as a whole. Baylor they finished season number 1 in the country in 3-point shooting percentage. They were a really good 3-point shooting team. They were a really good offensive rebounding team, which that combination doesn't normally mix too well, especially these days in college basketball. You usually don't find teams that are really good at shooting and really good at offensive rebounding. So they had that going offensively. And then we just talked about the defense. And so this is back months ago. If you just kind of put those three things together, it's like it's pretty hard to be a better. Where can you be better than Baylor with those three things, right? And the answer ended up being by being the best 2-point shooting team ever, which was what Gonzaga was, And I made a video about Gonzaga before the national championship. They shot 77% from 2 against Kansas this year, which was the best a team has ever shot against Bill Self. 66% against Virginia and the pack line. And they shot 62% against Baylor in the national championship game, So that was the reason. Their 2-point percentage was that amazing from an efficiency perspective that even though Baylor was a little bit more well-rounded, they were still 4 or 5 point favorites in the betting markets. And I think Gonzaga would probably still be favored in the rematch. I don't know for sure, but I think that Gonzaga would probably be favored in the rematch. That being said, these were two extremely good teams, like very, very good teams.
Jordan, I checked out your YouTube video, how Baylor won the national championship, that walked through what exactly Scott Drew and company did to knock off Gonzaga. We'll get to that too in a second, but I want to know if these two teams played 10 times. I know everybody's kind of throwing that question out there now. From what you saw eye test-wise, analytics-wise, breaking down offenses and defenses and numbers, what do you think happens in that 10-game series?
That's a really good question. I think it's probably pretty close to 50-50. I mean, don't get me wrong. The national championship game wasn't, from my perspective, wasn't lucky. I didn't feel like they were hitting unreasonable shots. That I think they wound up shooting around their season average from 3, Baylor. But yeah, I think that it's unwise to take too much from 40 minutes of basketball ever. If you kind of look at this from a data or analytics perspective, 40 minutes is not very predictive of the next 40 minutes when two teams play each other. Really, 80 minutes even in 2 conference games is not. It doesn't add much to the predictive value of the next time the teams play. But yeah, so I think that it would be a fun, if it was let's say it was a 7-game NBA playoff series. I think that would be a lot of fun. But Gonzaga would have to definitely adjust. The Baylor's athleticism and speed gave them a lot of trouble. So that would be the first thing that you'd have to address if you're Gonzaga.
Jordan, I mentioned that video you put out that labeled how Baylor ended up beating Gonzaga in the championship game. When you think about the coaching moves between Scott Drew and Mark Few, I know you talked about switching on ball screens and how Baylor's defense and Gonzaga's defense adjusted to the offenses of each other. Coaching battle, these two coaching minds, are these two of the best going at it? I mean, from a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, I think that was undersold a little bit on Twitter when I was following the game live, that there were a lot of adjustments that were happening. A lot of people fixated on Gonzaga switching with Drew Timme, which they definitely did. But they started switching with Timme about 10 minutes into the game after trying a few different things ball screen wise that Baylor was really, really, really hurting Gonzaga with. And then they went to a 2-3 zone. They did a couple possessions of 1-3-1 zone Gonzaga. And, Scott Drew and his staff were also making adjustments at that time. The big one against the 2-3 zone was Maceo Teague in the high post. He hit a couple back-to-back jumpers, and that took Gonzaga out of the zone, at least till the end of the first half. On their first possession of going against the zone, they ran a lob play for, I think, Vital, who missed the dunk, but then got his own rebound and put it back in. So all these things were happening. And yeah, it's even when I was watching it live, I definitely missed some of it. It's a fast-paced game. It helps to have a pause and a rewind button when coaches are making a lot of adjustments like that.
When you think about the adjustments made, Baylor gets up by 19 early. They go on that unbelievable first run, opening 10 minutes to start the game. Gonzaga was able to even things out, bring it within 9 at one point, and then the game obviously ends up being a 16-point margin. What was it that Mark Few or his team did to help stabilize the game, and why couldn't they end up getting over the hump?
Yeah, so I think about a 15-minute stretch where Gonzaga was scoring at the rate that they normally score at, and some of the baskets were really easy. There were 2 wide open layups to start the first half off of ball screens against Flo Thamba. Even at the end of the first half, there was 2 transition dunks. There were some easy 2-pointers. That is what we're used to seeing from Gonzaga, but the key there was Baylor was scoring with them at that time. They were still pretty much going bucket for bucket. They cut it to 9, but that was the closest. And yeah, there was never really a moment in the game. I guess the one moment that had me interested was when Chamo Chachua picked up his 4th foul. And that seemed like, I think Thamba might have already had 4 at that point. It seemed like maybe they could make a run. But I think this has been the case most of the season with Baylor. When they play smaller, they're really good offensively, and probably not as good defensively with that small ball lineup, especially on the defensive glass. But the guards are really good when they're playing 4 out like that with like Meyer at the 4. And that kind of brought the game home.
Jordan, people talk about how defense wins championships all the time, but you just mentioned right there was a really long stretch where Gonzaga was scoring as they usually do. Almost at will. It's just that Baylor's offense was able to keep up, and I think there was a point where, in my mind, second half, I'm thinking, holy cow, Gonzaga just keeps scoring, and Baylor had still outscored the Zags by 2 or 3 points in the second half alone, just because the offense was still there. Does this game prove the defense wins championships, or is it still offense that you got to lean on to win games like these?
So the cop-out answer here is the combination of offense and defense wins championships.
Nice, well put.
But and that's not much different than saying scoring more points wins championships. Yeah. But I think Ken Pomeroy had a tweet about this before the game, and especially in today's day and age, the offense does have more control over a given possession than the defense does. That's probably always been the case, but with the 3-point line, I think it's even more. And that's, I don't know what the exact split is. Ken has done some research on it, but let's say on a given possession, it's 55-45, So I think there's some logic there. That you'd rather be a dominant offensive team than a dominant defensive team. If you had to pick, obviously you'd rather be both. But if you had to pick, I think you can make a better argument for offense than defense.
I want to know this too, and this is, Jordan, the question that's really been thrown around on our show. I'm the guy, I don't want to be a homer. I support Baylor and cover them as an analyst, but I'm not going to sit here at this desk and tell everybody at home this is the greatest college basketball team of all time, whether it be analytics or eye test, either or. I can't say that. From your perspective, though, where do you put this Baylor team when it comes to comparing them to past national champions, maybe in the last decade or so?
Yeah, it's really hard, I think, to compare. First of all, I'm pretty young, but I guess in the past decade, I can do the past decade. But the offensive efficiency has just increased in general. Like, I'm not sure that you could have a team that was, let's talk about Gonzaga for a second, that had that type of 2-point percentage without the emphasis on the 3-point line. In the past, you could sag in the paint. It would be really hard for a team to shoot 60-something% from 2 on the season in the past. So the game has fundamentally changed, and that makes it a little bit harder to compare. But yeah, I'm sure you know Kendall Kaut. I follow him on Twitter, and I've heard him pushing the best Big 12 team ever. The other thing that's changed is teams aren't as old anymore. Players don't stay as long. So I kind of have a hard time believing that like the Kansas teams that had all seniors on their right, but these things are so hard to compare. And I will go back to what I said before. If you just think about the 3-point shooting, the offensive rebounding, and the defense, it's like, it's hard to be a lot better than what Baylor was this year. Their players are really good. They're well coached. I guess I don't. I'm passing on the question. I guess.
You know what? I am too. I feel like I've ruffled some feathers by being that guy. It's like, come on. You can't go greatest of all time talk after the title. But of course, that's people's jobs, is to speculate that. Jordan, I want to know before we get to our Bear Games question of the day today, how can folks find you? Like, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, HoopVision68 on Twitter and YouTube. If you on Twitter, I'll tweet out all the links to all the other stuff that I do. The YouTube has the Baylor video. If any Baylor fans are listening that haven't checked that out, it's the first video up on the channel. If you type in HoopVision68, and there's that no middle video that I did last year. That's actually one of my most viewed ever. So thank you, Baylor fans, for making that viewed. But yeah, HoopVision68 is the place to find me.
Perfect. And Jordan, our Bear Games question of the day today that we ask all of our fans and guests of this Baylor team. When we look back 10 years from now and say, okay, that guy was dominant in the NBA, who is it on this roster? Not even guys leaving this year. It could be some random bench player that you like. Who's going to be the NBA guy on this team?
I don't know. I've been high on Davion Mitchell all year, and now everyone is very high on him. I mean, specifically on defense, his offense was just so much better. It's so much improved this year. The concern with him is that he's older, but the other guy that I'm interested to see, because he's developed a lot, is Matthew Meyer. I've heard Fran Fraschilla say a bunch of times this year that not this year, right? Like next year, he's, for the NBA draft, but it'll be interesting to see. I think maybe my favorite player on the team in general was Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, but he's not really an NBA prospect. So, I like enjoying the guys from a college perspective too.
I love it. Jordan, thank you so much for joining the show today. It's really great to have you on, get your perspective. Like I said, I've watched plenty of your videos on college basketball before, and to hear you talk about Baylor is great, especially as good as they were this year.
Thanks for having me, Drake. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Again, that was Jordan Sperber of Hoop Vision. Find his stuff at HoopVision68 on YouTube or Twitter. When we come back, Grayson Grundafer joins the show for the big board today. We're talking football. Baylor open practice last Saturday, and another one this Saturday, where you folks can get a good, right there. Like, you can be there and get a glimpse of Baylor football. We're going to talk about that and more in recruiting with Grayson Grundafer after this. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1. While men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Paulie, give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Brian, don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with Dave all day.
Your place for a Baylor take on your lunch break. Here's Drake Toll.
All right, welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, folks. It's big board time. Let's talk some football. 9 days removed from a national championship. Will there ever be a day where it just like kind of fades into the background that Baylor won the national championship?
Not if you're a Baylor fan. Not if you cover Baylor. I mean, it's going to last forever. I mean, how many programs win national championships, man? It's unbelievable.
One a year. actually.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
one men's basketball program a year. I say that as there's a Scott Drew holding a national championship trophy right behind you. I don't know if we'll ever live that down. I don't know if we should, though. I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
How about that, though? You go basketball into football. Parade yesterday, though. I don't know if you were. I don't think you were able to make it out, were you?
No, I wasn't down there.
You pictures and everything. I mean,
and I went
to
the Final Four. I went to the championship. So, I showed
You're
my
still
support.
a fan.
Right,
Come on, you still support. Parade yesterday. Just now, Matthew Meyer has declared for the NBA draft while leaving its eligibility open. What do you make of that?
I think it was expected. He was always going to...
That's a strong word.
No, to test the waters. Everybody tests the waters, as guys who are somewhat NBA prospects, just to get an opinion. And, coaches really push for that these days. The college coaches, they're like, go test the waters. Yeah. Go get an evaluation. Let them tell you you're not going to get drafted or you're going to be a second-round pick and then come back. That's just kind of how it is. Or you go and test and then you're a first-round pick. Well, then the decision really, comes into play. But I expect him to be back. It's just one of those things he had to do, I think.
Yeah. How about for me, ESPN has predicted that Davion Mitchell will be a top 10 draft pick coming up in the NBA draft. So that says something about a guy who's a little bit older than maybe your conventional top 10 draft picks being able to go. Hopefully that's a good sign for Meyer. I mean, maybe that's what keeps him here, the fact that one more year he could still go as a lottery pick.
Yeah, maybe. And the big money is first round.
Right.
You got to be in the first round, in my opinion, to go. We've seen it time and time again. Guys just go to the NBA draft, don't get drafted or go in the second round, don't make the kind of money they would have if they would have stayed. So, again, I expect him to stay. On the flip side, I think it's a wise move by Davion to go. And he got an agent. I mean, it was his time. And we'll see with Jared Butler. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you got Davion Mitchell currently on a couple of them. I mean, he's anywhere from the 7 to 10, 7 to 11 range right now.
Please don't go to Washington. Please don't go to Washington.
Looks like Moses Moody at 7 to Washington, but Davion's looking in like a Washington, Toronto, Sacramento.
Ooh, Toronto would be great.
Davion in Toronto would be really great for him.
Yeah.
I think he'd love Toronto. Sacramento, they're okay. It could be. Orlando's on there. New Orleans is not that far away. I mean, if they struggle a little bit more,
that would be great. No Orlando, please. Please, no Orlando.
Orlando's
oh my
there.
Goodness.
But yeah, I mean, you're looking at him being not just a first-round pick, but a lottery pick, and the money that comes with that. Davion Mitchell is going to be and the prospect of playing right away. First-team All-NBA rookie team. What do they call that? I don't know.
First-team All-Rookie.
First-team All-Rookie.
Yeah.
That's it's concise.
Yeah.
So he's got that. But think about if Matthew Meyer comes back, he could very well be Big 12 preseason player of the year.
Who are we missing? We're missing somebody.
It's Matthew Meyer time.
No, we're missing somebody. There's no way.
It's Matthew Meyer
McCormick at Kansas, he's back, right?
I don't know. It's Matthew Meyer time.
All right.
What? I just think about Matthew Meyer in a Baylor jersey next year. Jacking threes on folks. Hey, he's the guy that's going to score 12 threes in a game. He's going to break some kind of three-point record. The next game he'll score 8.
Him or Flagler?
I think Meyer. I think because he's just so tall.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Flagler won't shoot at will, which is probably a good thing. Yeah. Meyer will shoot at will, which sometimes will be a good thing. Outside of that, though, basketball recruiting. I know you were just mentioning something about basketball recruiting. Apparently, there's another 4-star in the mix that Baylor could be. Yeah. Could go after. I don't know how much is concrete there.
Yeah, offered 2 days ago. Ty Washington. Kentucky also offered yesterday as well. So
did they win a national championship this last year?
No, they did not.
Yeah,
they did not. So, I think when you're a guy in his position who waited this long, he's also been a fast riser. He's got, I think, 11 big-time Power 5 offers since March. Yeah. So he's really been a riser as far as the high school recruiting goes. He's about 6'3", 6'4".
Point guard.
Yeah, point guard, 6'9" wingspan. He's a guy who you go and watch his film. I think that he reminds me smoothness-wise of Jared Butler, but he has the length that Jared Butler does not have. Jared Butler's got a 6'4" wingspan, I think. So this kid, smooth jump shot, really, really good score in the lane, really at all 3 levels, which you don't see often. Mm-hmm. He's not the most elite athlete. You're not going to see him jump 45 inches or anything like that, but a very skilled player, and one of the best point guard prospects in the entire country. And a lot of programs want him. And I think another big part of this, Kansas has pretty much put all their eggs in his basket to try to land him.
Really?
So if Baylor goes, oh, you know what? I think we want him. We're going to land him. And they're able to land a guy like Ty from Kansas. Not only are you getting yourself ready for next year, you're also taking away a huge one from a competitor. So he's ranked 30th in the nation. So he'd give Baylor the second consensus top 30 player, third consensus top 35 player in the country, with Love and, of course, Brown, who are already in the class. And he is a 2021, so it would be for this season. And just a late guy who Baylor's looking at. And outside the transfer portal, he seems like the best fit for this Baylor roster.
That's the number you'd probably have, if not number one. That's now a top 3 undisputed recruiting class in the country.
Oh, easily. And he's actually announcing his top 5 this weekend. So it'll be very interesting how much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the whole story behind him, why he waited so long. It was obviously a smart move because his recruitment has blown up since. But I don't know when he has to sign by, but I can tell you that, I mean, most of these guys arrive in the summer. So I would think he's got to make a decision here in the next month.
Oh, yeah, or sooner. I would assume he'd go as soon as possible in the next couple of weeks.
Right, so if Baylor's in his top 5 after just offering, a couple days ago, that's a really good sign.
Yeah. Looking at right here, he played the Geico Nationals with the rest of everyone who's good at basketball. He's one of the top shot blockers there. He was top 5, 6 in shot
wingspan.
Blocking. Yeah. And he's a point guard. Mind you, too, the number one guy in shots blocked, the Geico Nationals, Adem Bona, had 5 blocks per game.
Gosh.
So also you're going against the best competition in the country. Be a great pickup. Anything else in basketball today for the big board, Grayson?
No, not too much. I just wanted to mention him because I thought it's just a huge offer.
Yeah.
I mean, just a huge offer and one to definitely pay attention to.
Wow. Well, we've got Matthew Meyer declaring for the NBA draft while maintaining his eligibility, and now Ty Washington with the possibility of being a Baylor Bear. Boy, that'd be great, especially stealing him away from Bill Self and company. On the football side, though, Grayson, first open practice to fans that took place this past weekend. What did you see? I know you weren't able to go. I wasn't either. But what did you see kind of outside looking in that?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a lot of people after and kind of got their feel and insights for what happened. And, I think one thing I want to mention, obviously everyone was really, I guess their eyes just got really big when they saw Blake Shapen go out and take the first snaps at quarterback. So I just want to reiterate to people, it is a revolving door each practice with their scrimmages. From what I've heard, it goes, basically in some order, Bohannon, Zeno, Shapen. Yeah. And it's in that cycle every single week. So it just happened to be Shapen's day up. So all I'm saying is don't read too much into that. And I would also say on the day, everything I've heard and kind of seen from videos is that Jacob Zeno was the best quarterback by quite a bit on the day, at least. Obviously, it's one day, one practice. That's all that is, but I think that's pretty big news. The wide receivers played really well. Jackson Gleason got in on the act a little bit. Jalen Ellis had some big plays. And, of course, the guy who I think everyone is kind of down on after last year just because it was a really tough year for him. But Tyquan Thornton, his role in this offense is going to be absolutely electric. I've continued to hear so much about him and what he can bring to the table for this scheme specifically. I just think he's going to be able to take the top off the defense and have some big plays. It would not shock me if he had, a season similar to Denzel Mims's in 2019, 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. He won't be as consistent or have as many receptions, but I think he could get to that 1,000 yards and 10 touchdown mark.
Where was that last year?
Well, it's really tough when, Charlie was a great quarterback for Baylor. Great quarterback. Yeah. Just went out, made plays.
Tell it like it is. He's not listening.
Won games, but he's not great throwing the ball deep. Yeah. And that is Tyquan's biggest asset, And he had a good year the year before, but I think the offensive line was better the year before. So if you match a guy with a slow release and really not the biggest arm mixed with the fact that the offensive line was just really bad last year, I mean, it's going to take away opportunities for Tyquan, and it did. So I'm expecting one of these 3 guys, Zeno, Bohannon, or Shapen, to provide many more opportunities for Thornton this year than he had last year.
Outside of that, Tyquan's going to be the guy you look to. He's got to be wide receiver 1 for Baylor.
So.
Because with age, experience, and his ability to catch the football the way he has, and we've already seen videos of that looking into practice so far. Who's the number 2 or 3 guy? I mean, who if Tyquan Thornton is being shut down, who do you go to next? Is it still Drew Estrada?
I think the common answer that I think you would hear among most Baylor fans, and I think the most rational answer is probably R.J. Sneed because of the year he had last year.
Yeah.
I would think because we've seen it before. He was the only one last year who just was like, I'm going to make every catch that's thrown to me. I'm going to be a true alpha. I felt like he did that last year. Even though they were bad, he really played well. So I think that's the common answer. I think Drew Estrada's would probably be the second most common answer just because a reliable guy who can play the slot. He's going to get touches. But I'm rolling with Jalen Ellis, and I'm going to continue to hype up that train. But I just think he provides something that I'm not sure Baylor has a combination like him, if that makes sense. His speed to go deep and take the top of the defense, mixed with the fact that he can catch short stuff and make people miss, which is something they really don't have. Tyquan, for as good as he is, he doesn't make people miss in the open field. No. RJ does very little. Sometimes he will, but Jalen, and I think Drew Estrada does this as well, the ability to create yards after catch is key, and I think Jalen Ellis can do that. So I'm going to roll with him, but I think they got a nice group, and it's good to see Jackson Gleason out there making some plays. He just needs to stay healthy, and hopefully we'll be able to see that talent on the field next year.
When you think about those young guys that are going to step up and be key cogs or pieces coming into this next year, whether it be at receiver or any other position on the offense, who do you really like to step up as maybe even not a freshman or a sophomore, but a junior who hasn't seen much playing time? Who's a new name folks should get used to?
Well, I think the most obvious one here is Grant Miller, the Vanderbilt grad transfer. He's coming in, and I think he's going to make this center position his sooner rather than later. Yeah. As much as we talk about Xavier Newman and as much hype as there was when he came to Baylor, I simply have not seen it on the field consistently enough to say that he's going to win a job over Grant Miller, who, from what I heard, had a very solid practice over the weekend. So Grant Miller at the center position, I'm not going to say pencil it in, but I am going to say I think he has really built a huge lead there. So I expect him to really have a nice year, and I think only Grant Miller and Connor Galvin have positions locked down pretty much on the offensive line. I think everywhere else
is that good?
I mean, those two are good. But no, it's not good in general to have 3 spots where there's probably 7 names that you could kind of go down the list and just put your finger on, and I would not be that shocked.
Tate Williams.
Tate Williams,
hey,
I mean, imagine, Ooh.
That's a large man.
It's a large man who, and I love Tate. Dude hasn't pass blocked at all. If he comes in and beats out everyone, then they're going to be running they're going to be running the ball a whole lot, and it tells you kind of what the depth is like. So, they need some work there still, but I love that they keep rotating guys in. They're trying to figure out the best combination, and hopefully they will, and also hopefully they add some pieces, prior to the season.
On top of that, not just with the offensive personnel, but with the offensive staff coming in. We've talked about, Chancey Stuckey and what he's done and what Jeff Grimes is doing with the offense, the tight ends. I mean, those two guys, Jeff Grimes is now the captain of the offense, that coaching position. How have they adjusted already from what you've seen and heard?
A lot. Everything that I've heard and seen is that, this offense is completely different. So there is a learning curve. There definitely is. And they're trying to, that wide zone concept. But also, everyone talks about the wide zone. And they're going to run the ball like that. But they're also going to use a whole lot of play action. They're going to use a whole lot of motion. They're going to throw the ball deep. They're going to really test defenses. And I think that takes some time to learn. And so I think they're really, at the beginning, honestly, of the full install. I think it's going to take some time before it is all there. But I do think it'll be enough for them to move the ball pretty well. And, wide receiver physicality last year. And it was something Craig, typed up and something I've heard consistently. They look way more physical than they did a year ago. They look like they're going to go compete for every ball downfield, and that was something they simply did not do last year.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't get many shots to do it, but on the flip side, you need to see guys make contested catches, and that's a credit to Chauncey Stuckey already, making an impact in that regard. So I'm excited. Eric Mateo still has his hands full with the offensive line, as does Jeff Grimes, but if they can get that relatively solved or at least feel comfortable with the starting 5, I really think this offense could be pretty good.
Grayson, I've heard so little about the defense in comparison to the offense over the course of this offseason. Is that a good thing?
Oh, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to, honestly, and this may just be kind of somewhat biased, but after last year, I really don't have any concerns about the defense. Yeah. There might be a few nitpicking points like depth at a certain position or, if guys can stay healthy, but I really trust Dave Aranda and this staff to get that position, get the defense really figured out. I think they're going to be very good. They don't even have Terrell Bernard out there, who obviously is probably going to be a preseason defensive player of the year in the conference. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah.
They're going to be very good. And if they can get healthy, especially on the defensive line, TJ Franklin, Gabe Hall, if those guys can really get healthy and be the impact players we know they can be, look out. You could be looking at a top 10 defense similar to 2019, truthfully.
Wow. Already you're seeing that. Is it one position that's standing out to you? And if so, is it still the defensive backs?
See, and that's the interesting part. It's not really just one position. It's honestly the age and the experience that they have. When you look at Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie, the backup, Abram Smith. So they're pretty loaded there. But also, you have to remember Dylan Doyle. Dylan Doyle was terrific.
All day. Come on.
So you add him to the mix. I mentioned Jalen Petrie. You look at JT Woods, Christian Morgan, Raleigh Tejada, Kalen Barnes. These guys have played so many snaps by now. I'm expecting the world out of these guys. I'm expecting them to have an awesome year, and I'll continue to say it. If the defensive line can stay healthy, they are going to be an absolute force. And they get, the schedule is perfectly set up for them to dominate, quite a few games. I'm really optimistic, and I think that the defense truly has guys who fit what Dave Aranda wants to do, and I think they're going to be really good.
Jeez. Dylan Doyle, Jalen Petrie, Terrell Bernard, JT Woods. Stop.
Raleigh Tejada.
What?
Kalen Barnes, fastest man on the field every game you play.
That is, it's wild how just the names alone on the defense next year. That said, looking at last season, you had Charlie Brewer obviously on the offense and RJ Sneed, what he was able to put together last year. Tyquan Thornton was a threat. I'm just looking at going into the season. There was so much, you got a new offensive coordinator, but he's a proven guy, and maybe this offense could be good. There didn't seem like there was much disparity between the offense and the defense. A lot of holes in both. This year, looking at the disparity we know that exists between the offense and the defense, how big is that gap right now?
Massive. And and the defense isn't even healthy right now. They're not even playing at full strength. And I still think they're better than the Baylor offense. And listen, that may not be fair, though, to say that just because of the fact that Baylor is more, even under Rule, they were more about the defense.
Yeah.
Their defense was always really good. The talent there was always really good. I will say I'm pretty happy with the fact that the offense scored some touchdowns, though, over the weekend. They scored some. I'm not sure I expected them to go out and score, 4 touchdowns. And I think all 4 of them were led by Zeno, I think, and then Drones threw a couple in 7-on-7. But, it just is, it's encouraging to see that production. But I will say, once again, this team is going to go, in my opinion, as far as the defense takes them. That does not mean the offense, has to be terrible. 2019, they averaged 35 points a game.
Yeah.
So if this offense can go out and average, 35 points a game.
Did they really average 35?
Isn't that crazy? You got to remember 63 on UTSA, and they scored.
True.
They scored on the bad teams.
Still just seems so far removed.
I know. Last year they were a far cry from that, but I do think this offense can average 30 plus points per game, and I think that this. I think this defense is going to give up, a lot less than that.
How many points will the defense average scoring?
Oh,
how many points will Baylor's defense score for Baylor?
That's a tough question.
Over under 3.5 per game.
Well, it's however many Jalen Petrie scores. That's
Petrie
the real question.
was Baylor's offense last season, without a doubt. And I'd be perfectly cool if he did it again. Recruiting wise, though, and there's so much going on the field, which there's a ton, obviously, still to unpack that we haven't gotten to, that I'm sure we'll get to next week too. But outside of that, recruiting-wise, what are you seeing right now, new developments that excite you?
Yeah, so 2 big notes this week on the offensive line that I think really stood out. Ohio State, they had an offensive lineman enter the portal, Max Ray, 6'7", 308 pounds. He would, if Baylor were to get him, he would play right tackle at Baylor for sure, which is the position, in my opinion, they most need help at. They just don't have someone there. But anyways, Max Ray, he's expected to be a backup for this team this year, for the Ohio State team. Only started 1 game last year against Michigan State. Has only started 1 game in his career at Ohio State, so that's a little concerning. Okay. Flip side, he was buried behind 2 guys that have been on the roster for 4 and 5 years. So, and Ohio State has a lot of talent. I mean, he was a top 100 player, 4-star guy. Biggest thing about him, though, is he graduates in May. So he would be immediately eligible, which is key. The other thing is he's got 3 seasons of eligibility left, which is rare for a grad transfer. So he'd have room to develop and grow while also probably being, not probably. He would come in to be the starting right tackle. Yeah. Hopefully he'd be good enough to do that if they were able to land him. But I will say this is not going to be an easy recruitment. This is not going to be one of those, just home run. He's definitely going to Baylor. When you look at his not offer list, but schools that have already communicated with him: TCU, Indiana, Florida State, Tennessee, Arizona State, Texas A&M, West Virginia, Auburn. I mean, everybody's looking for offensive linemen. Any chance you can upgrade there, that's exactly what you're going to try to do. And that appears to be what everyone's trying to do with him. I will say a little side note, a little backstory for him. Jeff Grimes recruited him when he was at LSU. So, recruited him there. Interesting name to throw around, I guess. Austin Thomas, who was also at Baylor, was his primary recruiter at LSU. And he obviously recruited that Tennessee area a lot, and that Max is from Tennessee. So he's an interesting name to watch, and definitely one that, if he were to end up at Baylor, that'd be absolutely massive.
Along with that, you've got we talked transfer portal. Mm-hmm. As we always do, and it's typically dry. I mean, there's usually not a ton to talk about. But
that's the big one, yeah.
Yeah. How about anything else coming up in 2022, 2023 that you really like or that just pops out immediately?
Well, I'm going to stick to one more 2021 note, which is I just think since we're on that cycle, it's a pretty big one. Again, Hutchinson Community College, JUCO offensive lineman Kingsley Ugwu. Baylor offered him a while ago. I mean, he's been on the radar for a while. Eric Mateos has really been his primary recruiter, the guy that wanted to offer him, the guy that has been his primary contact for the longest time. 6'4", 310 pounds. He's got Baylor, Colorado, and Houston as his top schools at the moment. And he's going to have to make a decision soon. For JUCOs, it's really hard because, if he wants to compete for playing time, he's going to have to be on campus this summer.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have time to wait till June for the recruiting dead period to end. So he's going to have to make a decision without visiting, probably in the next month or so, that he can get ready to enroll at the school of his choice. Could be Baylor, though. It could be. He's got 4 seasons to play 3. So
there you go.
He'd be a pretty good addition.
Grayson, Bear Games question of the day before we get you out of here on the big board. Baylor men's basketball draft, NBA draft. Who is the guy that we look back 10 years from now and say, this player, he was the best in the NBA out of this squad?
Man, it's hard. You get draft capital invested in you. So you have, I don't see how you can't go with Davion Mitchell. There's no one on this roster that's going inside the top 10, in my opinion, outside of him on this current roster. So yeah, I got to go with him, even though, I want to keep rocking with my boy Jared Butler, because I just think he is, he just embodies everything great about Baylor basketball and Baylor sports, and I'll stand by. I think he's the greatest Baylor basketball player of all time.
Oh, lock it in. Lock it in. Jared Butler. We'll stand by Jared. I'm Drake Toll, Grayson Grunday for Armstrong Sims. J.D. Pickell joins the show next for the Blonde Boys Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1. While men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
The Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels has special pricing on the new 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude with
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back, and betting on it, Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo Blonde Boys Power Hours, brought to you by Banson Business Services, owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green. Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can help you with your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson for more information.
Bada bing, bada Banson. How about the parade, huh?
How about the parade?
I know I'm late to the party. I was there. I was there.
You're late for the parade.
I'm late for the parade, dude. True story. I parked in between 2 cars because one car, well, typically you park between 2 cars. I parked in like half a spot.
Parallel parking?
I parked in half a spot, climbed out through my sunroof because you literally could not open the doors on either side. Climbed out through my sunroof, got over, walked to the parade. Wow. That's how much I love this parade.
The parade. The jury's out for me on parades.
Yeah.
I think I hate parades.
Really? How come?
When I think parade, I associate parade with like sweat and heat and humidity. Also, 254-339-1122. The call line is open, or it will be.
Talk that talk,
I guess.
See, I haven't been in a parade. I feel like you've been in parades, probably.
I've been in parades.
Okay.
I think being in the parade is almost worse than being at the parade.
Really?
Yeah. It's just hot. It's humid, and literally there's a little to no point.
The end is cool. I liked the end that we did like yesterday with Scott Drew.
The end was neat.
Mac Rhodes loving confetti. What a spiel that was.
The end was really neat.
That was hype.
No, I thought it was good. And then Mac Rhodes did say, love confetti. Love confetti.
My friend said what you didn't see was Mac Rhodes behind the confetti going, love confetti. Love confetti. Like he wasn't sure which, like he was actually deliberating between the two.
That's
He wasn't sure. That's not my joke.
Yeah, you could have given yourself credit for that.
Shout out Davis Brock.
He did. They just, and he just kept saying it over.
Is it love or confetti? Which one?
Love confetti.
Love
confetti.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Mac Rhodes played into the crowd with the rights.
Yeah.
Because Mac Rhodes would, after he would affirm himself, he would say, hey, this is the best basketball team in the country, right? And we're here to celebrate them, right? And that was it. He would just kind of affirm the end of the sentence. I do the same thing with the word yeah. So
really? Okay.
I'll be like, hey, we're going to get ice cream tonight, yeah? Or, hey, what are you doing tonight, yeah? Mm-hmm. Like, I just have like the yeah that comes at the end. Mm-hmm. He has right. So he would say, so Baylor basketball, Scott Drew, right? And the whole crowd would go, right? And so it kept going to the point where he would say, and Jared Butler, National Player of the Year, or First Team All-American, right? And then as soon as he'd say right, just right.
It's a public speaking hack, I feel like.
So by then, it's a hack. You got you to pay attention.
Yeah.
Because by then, every time he said right, the crowd would scream it. So he caught on. So he just randomly, he'd be in the middle of a sentence and go, right? And the whole place would come unglued.
He just rode that horse all the way through.
He did. And
good for him, though.
The best, he was introducing Scott Drew. He was like, the best basketball coach in the entire country, right? And then right. Oh, my goodness. Parade was good.
Palpable.
I really enjoyed it.
Palpable energy.
I was impressed with the crowd that was there yesterday.
It really did feel like a fair or something. Like there were people.
Bingo.
That were just, I like the fact they shut the streets down. It was cool. It was a cool environment. Let's do it again next year, huh?
I think that's why I hate parades, because fair, fair and parade just aren't. It's just
the association between the two. I feel that.
So yeah, I outside of that, we've been talking some football today, a little bit of basketball here and there. What was your reaction to the crowd yesterday?
I thought the crowd was awesome. I really liked the crowd. I think the Matthew Meyer news was a little more surprising to me today after hearing him speak at the podium when he was saying like, "Yeah, we'll run it back next year.
He did
got
say
a lot
run
of
it back
pieces,"
next year.
and then he's like, "Actually, I'm going to go ahead and check the draft," which isn't, like Grayson said, it's not super surprising, but I don't know. I mean, the timing was kind of surprising to say let's run it back and then be like, also, I am going to test the NBA waters really quick. Be right back.
Yeah, I don't know. How do you take it seriously? You know, if you're somebody, how are you like, this guy comes up and is like, hey, we're going to run it back next year. We're going to do it all over again. And he's like, also, bye.
Yeah.
You know, which means he's probably coming back. 95% chance. There's no way that he goes out there and ends up being a lottery pick.
Yeah.
And why get drafted at pick number 57 when you can go pick number 12 next year? The difference in money, the difference in prospect of play time right away.
100%.
Davion Mitchell is going to be one of those guys. It's in a conversation for a rookie first team in the NBA.
100%. Like, even if you are looking at this from the most selfish perspective, if you're Matthew Meyer, it makes sense to come back next year because, like Grayson said, there is more money in the first round. Like, that's where you get paid. You can retire mom and dad when you get drafted second round.
Yeah.
You can retire mom, dad, sister, brother, your kids, their kids. Like, everyone gets to retire.
You can't retire mom and dad in the second round.
You don't think so?
No.
Are you sure?
You can't retire them, no.
Oh, I think you can. You're making
G League money?
Letter M money?
Oh.
In the second round?
Second round signing bonus, letter M?
I think you're making letter M money, man. I think the NBA does if you're second round pick. I guess it depends on how your G League experience pans out, but all things being equal, he's going to be in the top 15 conversation. All the shots that have to be replaced, assuming Jared Butler leaves, Davion's already said he's gone, Maceo is gone. Like, you have 3 people to replace their shots for. If we know Matthew Meyer does one thing, guy likes to shoot, and there's a whole lot of offense left to be replaced. So it makes a whole lot of sense for him to come back. I would be surprised if this were a legitimate thing, but I was surprised more so by the timing and the fact that he did. I think it makes a lot of sense that he did say, hey, I'm going to declare for the draft, with the caveat that you're maintaining an NBA agent. That's just code for, hey, I'm going to declare for the draft, but not really, right? Like, NBA agent is just code for not actually. Right?
Looking at like $750,000.
Okay. So maybe, okay. So maybe you're not retiring mom and dad.
Yeah,
all the more reason to stay. All the more reason to stay and be a top 20-15 pick.
Maybe less. That's a good chunk of money, but also he plays one more year in college, could work his way up to a draft lottery pick.
Okay.
He's got that. I think 100%. He's got that potential without a doubt. That was surprising news today, I thought, especially, again, like you said, especially after yesterday's parade. Thought the energy was palpable. Fans were great. Always good to hear from Scott Drew, too, that man's energy.
He's got so much energy. How much are you buying the let's run it back talk? By just
anybody?
I think it's like inevitable after you win one title. It becomes, hey, let's do it again next year. Let's do it again next year.
Right.
Like, what is the ceiling? Excuse me. What is the floor for this team?
Ceiling is the roof.
Ceiling is always the roof.
I don't know. The floor could be you're kind of lethargic after a national championship victory. You want to find yourself. Everybody thinks they're going to be the next key piece that wins the national championship, and that infighting buries you. However, one could readily assume that the culture of Scott Drew and his ability to keep this program level-headed is one that's going to make sure these guys are, in the right headspace going into next season.
Yeah. I was going to say, I understand the cause for concern because you lose 4 or 5 starters. More than likely, let's say Jared Butler does leave. In that situation, you lose 4 or 5 starters. You still have Scott Drew. So that's, I think, something to be talked about. Like, culture wins championships. Players and coaches win games, don't get me wrong. Culture wins championships. So it really does come down to what does Flagler and Meyer give you production-wise, because there's a whole lot of offense that needs to be replaced. There's a whole lot of defense that needs to be replaced. And Matthew Meyer needs to take the next step as a defender, in my mind, in order to reassure, I think, the fact they can make a Final Four run. I do think Sweet 16, though, is probably the floor. I think Sweet 16 is very realistic, in my opinion.
I think so, too. I don't think that Baylor is going to bury themselves. From a culture standpoint, that's what's going to keep them floating. I think Matthew Meyer comes back. Adam Flagler is going to be something special. Jeremy Sohan, then Kendall Brown, and Langston Love. We had Langston on the show yesterday. That three-headed monster, and then Ty Washington that Grayson was just talking about. Another prospect who's still looking to find his home. I mean, Baylor gave him an offer.
Yeah.
If he gets on board,
that's trouble.
3 or 4 guys in the top 50.
Yeah.
In top 50 prospects, recruits out of this class, which is just astronomical.
Yeah, I think a lot of it lies with Brown. Like, depending on what Brown, Meyer, and Flagler give you offensively, as well as defensively, but offensively from a shooting perspective, that's going to be what allows this team to take that next step past the Sweet 16, into the Elite Eight, into the Final Four. Big 12 championship, I think you're fishing in the dark there. I think you are with how good Kansas is year after year and just the parity that you see. Who knows what COVID means next year if that comes back to bite some teams. But so Big 12 championship, I think you're probably in the top 2, but I really do think there's a chance to still make another run depending on what that new class of guys gets you.
I want to give a special shout out to Hugh, who I met yesterday. Hugh ran into him at the parade. Hugh watches the show.
Really?
Yeah. Hugh said he was like, hey, listen, my family and I, we watch. He introduced me to his kids, said that he made his kids watch the show, listen to the show the whole way up to Waco, coming to the parade yesterday. So
no kidding.
Excited to run into Hugh. Met Hugh and his family. Said that he loved our chemistry and banter up top.
There it
right
is.
There.
Thanks,
there
Hugh.
Is.
Appreciate it, man.
Nice to meet Hugh. Luke yesterday. Got to meet Luke, also a listener to the show, 17. Has prospect. He wants to be in sports media and radio one day. So Luke is one of those guys that's listening out there and watches the show daily. Both those guys said, and I quote, they listen religiously. They listen and watch religiously.
That's awesome.
So they keep up with us.
That's exciting, man. That's got to be kind of encouraging to hear, especially at a parade.
For all of us.
That's
at
awesome.
a parade.
Yeah, for all of us.
You show up to a parade, next thing you know, folks love up tempo.
Yeah, there you go.
How about it? Okay, so we've got football, basketball, we got baseball to break down. Baseball won last night.
Okay.
Volleyball plays tomorrow in the first rounds of the NCAA playoffs. First round of the playoffs. They're in a bubble right now in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where they play. So they're dwindling their way down further through the tournament. That's the first round matchup for them tomorrow against either UMBC or Pepperdine. They already beat Pepperdine once this season. Pepperdine's pretty good at volleyball, though.
The Waves. They play a lot of volleyball down there in SoCal.
Men's volleyball, too, is a thing.
There you go. Yeah, they're all just playing outside.
Did you play men's volleyball?
In 8th grade.
Really?
In 8th grade, we won the ship.
No way.
True story.
What position did you play?
It was one of those deals where you just rotate around. So I don't even know if you have positions.
I think that's how volleyball goes in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You rotate positions?
I mean, you rotate on the floor.
If you're an outside hitter, don't you just stay an outside hitter? Like setters don't go from setter to outside hitter.
Don't do this to me.
I mean, I'm kind of. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. Yeah. That's how we did it. We rotated. We didn't know what we were doing.
Also, what are you doing tonight?
Watching a doc with you, man.
Really?
We're watching a doc.
What do you say? This guy comes to my door last night with cookies at, what was it? Probably.
It was later. 10?
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Comes over to the house with cookies he had baked, that you baked.
Baked's a strong word, but I was there.
They were in the oven.
Put them on the pan.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
Didn't burn yourself. We came over, brought cookies. Thanks for that, by the way.
Course,
it was very nice. We, as roommates, we all shared that. Pleasure to have you now 2 doors down.
Pleasure's all mine. The pleasure is all mine, man. I'm glad that we're so close that we can watch the doc. Armstrong, if you're not busy, man. I know you're in high demand.
Armstrong, you should come tonight to our documentary watch party. We're watching Disgraced at the Oval Office.
I did hear about that. I am busy tonight, but I would love to take a rain check on that.
Okay.
Wow.
Next time it rains, we'll check.
Am I going to have to?
Good.
Are you and I going to watch it personally? Just you and I? JD and I are going to share.
It'll be the third time you watch it.
The documentary
we
Disgraced.
We can watch another documentary completely.
Okay.
Really?
We'll figure something out.
How many other Baylor documentaries are there, you think?
Why does it have to be a Baylor documentary?
Because that's like the fun of it. We're a Baylor show.
He's got a point.
We could watch a completely random documentary.
Like?
I don't know.
Wow. I'll leave it up to you. For
National Treasure.
National Treasure.
National Treasure 2.
That's a good documentary.
National Treasure 2.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of good
also,
documentaries.
this is way off topic, but I want to make sure we mention this. Giving Day. It's Giving Day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right.
Like in general?
I think
Baylor.
for Baylor it's Giving Day.
Baylor.
I got some emails about it as an alumni.
That's pretty exciting. Makes the whole thing go, man. You don't get to the Natty without some money, huh?
That's true.
Probably.
So it's Baylor Giving Day, as in like give Baylor money day.
I just literally like to think about how there are people today giving money today more than my annual salary.
Yeah,
they're donating.
Isn't that kind of exciting though? And it's going to pay for.
It's
going to pay for
but
Matthew Myers'
kind
jersey
of
and his meal plan
and a new arena.
Yeah,
that's true.
And the Scott Drew
Matthew Myers'
statue.
meal plan. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what it's going to.
With Matthew Myers eating chicken fingers next year at the bank.
We did that.
All of us.
That's where my tuition goes.
Yep.
That's where my tuition goes.
I'll give $1. This is for Matthew Myers.
There it is.
One of his
chicken nuggies.
But actually, everybody that gives, make the ship go.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
And Mac Rhodes was on the show yesterday and talked about building the new basketball field house.
Right.
Which is going to be smaller capacity than normal, than the Farrell Center is. What do you think about that? You like that?
I'm in for that. I think that's great. Like, have the fans closer. Nobody talks about Cameron being a small indoor, like no one talks about being small in a negative way, right? Like it's always like, oh, this is awesome. Fans close to the floor, you camp out. It just creates more buzz, right? That's fun.
Buzz.
That's fun. Let's get some more buzz going.
How about that? Let's talk about that on the back end of this break right here. Not only the new basketball field house being smaller, but also where are they going to put it? Let's speculate.
Ooh, I'm in.
Let us speculate. Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims. This, don't go anywhere, is Up-Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1. While men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on the new 2021 Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $5,500 or 0% for 84 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Central Texas new Ram commercial truck headquarters with 3,500 and 5,500 chassis cabs and other great work trucks. Visit Allen Samuels today. It's Ram Truck Month.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Coming off parade yesterday, 9 days removed from the Baylor National Championship. Had a full show today so far. A couple great guests earlier in the show while you were walking your dog.
I know. I'm bummed I missed them.
Yeah.
That always breaks my heart when I see y'all just having. I feel like SpongeBob when in that meme. Have you seen that where he looks outside and sees his friends playing?
Or he's
maybe not quite
that's
that.
Squidward.
I like walking my dog.
That's Squidward. SpongeBob and
it's from
Patrick are it's from SpongeBob.
I'm not a big SpongeBob watcher.
I'm not either.
Really?
I'm 20 now, so I outgrew it. Outgrew it.
There are people I know that still will watch SpongeBob religiously, and they're like 23.
I watch Community religiously. I'm on the last episode.
Are you really?
I'm on the last episode.
No kidding. How do you think? What do you think of it?
It's horrendous. The last season's horrendous.
Because they switched, right? Went to Amazon or something. Like they switched whoever made it, is what I heard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's so bad. It's awful. But it's also because like half the main characters left the show.
They need a movie. 6 seasons and a movie.
Spoiler alert, 6 seasons and a movie. They have yet to make a movie, and I'm not sure they will because of the characters. But we had Jason King joined us earlier on the show. Gracie Kelleher, the new student body president at Baylor University. Hoop Vision, how about that? That was really neat. I don't know if you got to see that. Hoop Vision joined us. Jordan Sperber, who does a lot of stuff in and around college basketball.
Cool.
He was on the show today. We did not have Barack Obama.
Did he cancel?
Still working on him.
I thought he was in.
No, I've been reaching out to his team, his media team, and have not got Barack Obama yet.
No dice?
No.
All right. It'll happen.
One of these days. One of these days.
I emailed Marty Smith's producer and said, I'll give you my left leg for us to get Marty Smith.
Really?
No response.
No response.
None.
You're keeping your left leg today.
Yeah. Well, if he comes on, I need some crutches.
I was reminded yesterday, actually, that we did high school football together.
Yeah. What reminded you of that?
I was just going through Spotify, and our games are in podcast mode on Spotify, so you can go back and listen to them. You can go back and listen to us call a football game.
How about that?
It's crazy.
Yeah. It was a good time.
From this, just talk show where you sit and you just talk about sports, to that.
Yeah, what a different environment.
What a way different environment. There's a crowd cheering. There are people that are just, and then people that were just entranced by our doing sports.
I hope they were entranced. We were entranced.
I was entranced.
I went through an entrance
to
get here.
By Brian Bell and the Cougars of China Spring.
He watches the show.
Really?
Brian Bell does, yeah.
Really?
Allegedly. Or
He's out there.
He says he does.
Wow. I had dinner with him a while back. I think you were there.
I was there.
Yep.
I think about that a lot, actually, the beach spot we went.
That was a weird place.
Yeah.
What is that place called? We need them to sponsor us.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a beachside restaurant.
China Spring,
in the middle of China Spring, Texas, on the side of the highway, just sand.
Poetic.
And what's his name that does Margaritaville? Alan.
Alan Buffett?
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. Alan Buffett.
Does a great, so there's Jimmy Buffett playing in sand in a bar, an open bar with just beach theme.
Weird deal.
Very weird deal. Okay, Baylor basketball. Baylor basketball building a new field house. Also, the call line is open, 254-339-1122. Get in the conversation. Would you rather see the Baylor basketball field house, the new small arena, built on campus, or, which is going to be very tough to find a location, maybe by the Brazos over there by the baseball center,
That could be cool.
stadium?
That could be cool.
It's going to be tough to find a location. Would you rather see it on campus or downtown?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and say on campus.
Why?
Because I think having it on campus would improve attendance. And right now, attendance is not great. I like them making it smaller, but the big thing that I think Baylor's missing to add to their basketball program, you already got a great team. So let's start there. You got a great team to fill the thing with. That's the first part. Second part, you got to have a great crowd. And for the last however many years, Baylor hasn't had a great crowd. I mean, you can blame it on the fact that the Farrell's pretty big, or you can blame it on the fact that it's a little bit weird to get to. It's not that big?
It's not big.
Oh, it feels big. See, that's the thing. It feels big. I don't know why it feels big.
Alumni pool is small, though, and very spread out. I think that's the problem you're running into. Is you're competing with other schools in Texas that are very local, like UT's pretty close, A&M's pretty close. But the alumni pool for Baylor, they're all in Dallas. So getting down for a midweek basketball game's tough.
True. All the more reason to put it on campus then, right? Like, have the kids that go to the school have easiest access to the game. Like, that makes the most sense.
You know how many people I know that walk from campus to the Farrell Center?
No.
0 people. Because it's on campus, but it's not really on campus.
Yeah.
Like, if you have to drive to it, which you have to drive to the Farrell Center.
Yes.
Walking to the Farrell Center from campus is a nightmare.
Not
Most people don't live on campus anyway.
Yeah.
So having it on campus, granted, there's the part of like, oh, you got to drive 7 minutes to go to the basketball arena.
Right.
But putting it downtown gives you the opportunity to create a strip.
Really?
So you can have like basketball field house downtown. There's the courthouse over there. There's that over there. There's this. There's that. But then after you're done, you can walk out of the arena and here is a bar. Here's a grill. Here's a Chili's. Here's a restaurant. You can eat, fraternize, hang out with your friends.
I guess so. I don't see the fact that it's not that much farther to go to something like that after a game. Whereas like the play for me, having it on campus is to fill it with more people. And I think you would lose a lot of freshman students who are probably the people that are going to be most interested in going anyway.
Well, they got to drive either way.
Do you know if it's closer to campus? I'm saying have it closer than even the Farrell Center is now. I don't know where you'd put it, but if you can put it closer to campus than the Farrell Center and have it be, even if you can cut that drive in half, even have it be like a long walk, like that I think would do a lot for the attendance, because that's what is missing from the game day atmosphere. In my opinion, I think so.
I don't know. I think if they want to go, they're going to go. They're going to find a way to go.
Yeah.
I think especially if you have downtown a really nicely done parking garage that fits a lot of cars, a Garage Mahal-esque kind of thing, and you can fit a lot of folks up in there. Not only can you do that, you also can have that, like I'm talking about, really good for the Waco area from a revenue standpoint, tax revenue standpoint, more businesses, walking distance, just walk around from different restaurant to restaurant, hanging out with your friends, really good game day atmosphere all down the street is alive on a Saturday.
I could see that.
You know, or a Tuesday night, it's just popping after the game, everybody's leaving together. I think that'd be so neat.
I could see that. I wouldn't hate that, but I just wonder how many students are you able to get there, because then if you're not drawing from the student population,
they don't go now.
much, but it's kind of farther. It's kind of off campus, isn't it? Like, it's technically on campus, but it's like anything you have to get in a car and go to. I'm saying if we could put it close enough to where you can walk to the game, I think that would help attendance. I don't know for a fact. I think it would help attendance and get more people there.
I just don't think that exists.
Why not?
Because I don't think the area exists. I'm saying, like, from a land standpoint, just because you're number one doesn't mean you have more land.
I think the same thing for downtown, though. I don't know if you're going to fit a whole lot more in downtown. That's pretty crowded already.
Downtown is pretty crowded, but there's some room out here that I'm looking at. I'm looking at some room over here by 101 Elm. Imagine.
Really?
101 Elm.
If it was across the bridge,
like right here
from McLean, that would be cool.
That would be dope.
That would be very cool.
That'd be neat. They call McLean on campus. That's like the biggest foe ever.
Yeah,
I know. Like they claim that McLean, like, oh yeah, well now that they built one, I guess it's because Floyd Casey was so much further from campus than McLean is.
Okay.
But like that's the adage, is that McLean's on campus. It is not on campus.
It's not on campus.
It's in walking distance of campus.
That's a fib.
It's such a fib.
Yeah.
If folks are sending their kids here to have a football stadium on campus, they are wholly disappointed.
They're very much. They are breaking a lot of people's trust if they're advertising that.
Bingo. I don't know if they're advertising it, but McLean Stadium's not on campus.
Yeah. But it is a Saturday, like you said, Saturday game day. All that plays into it, I think, and allows them to be able to have more people. Also, it's football. Like, you have one game a week. It's for a shorter season. All those things probably play into a higher attendance there. So that's neither here nor there. But I just think that we could get more students to games. I don't understand why there aren't more going already. Like,
games are free.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I guess COVID. Do you think they would have sold out more games this year if there wasn't COVID?
I think they would have sold out a lot of them, but not all of them.
Comparatively, like compared to years last year,
football,
when they were one of the best.
Football wouldn't have.
Sorry, basketball.
Basketball.
I'm thinking you have the best team in the country. Why do you not sell out every single? Like, if this happens in Kansas, if this happens at any other like basketball school traditionally, do you not sell out every single game? How do you not sell out every game when you have the best team literally in the country?
I think, again, it's because your fan base is really spread out. Student tickets are limited. So say you get like 2,000, 2,500 students into the game, then at that point, like, you're relying on alumni and fans to fill up 7,500 seats.
Do they finish those student tickets? Like, do they sell those out typically? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'm asking you. I'm putting you on the spot here. But I'm thinking, okay, so let's start there. Let's just give all the student tickets free.
They are.
Excuse me. Let's take off. Let's take a limit off student tickets. Because I don't understand why you would limit student tickets when you have the best team in the country and you're already dealing with a little bit having not sold out the Farrell Center.
Right.
I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
Oh, it's tough because then you lose revenue by making them all free, you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
And you don't want to lose revenue.
Maybe you up the demand, up the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? Amount of student tickets that are available?
Maybe that's the thing.
Does that not help?
I think that helps a little bit. It's just a really weird situation in which, well, here's what's tough. There's not a huge group of Baylor fans that didn't go to Baylor or have really close alumni ties.
True.
That's almost the glory and what you like about Baylor is the fact that it's very family atmosphere. Because I can go to a Baylor fan and pretty readily assume they either went to Baylor, their mom went to Baylor. That's how most people go.
Yeah, the ties are pretty close.
Unless you're really, really local. Even then, a lot of really, really local folks root for Texas A&M or UT because they have some kind of tie being in the state of Texas to those schools.
Yeah, even if you're in Waco, sometimes you don't like Baylor because Baylor is like that the rich kid school if you're in Waco and you're not, it brings a lot of things to town that you're like, I just want to be in Waco. I just want to enjoy Waco. I don't like what Baylor brings.
As you're spitting truth. A sad truth.
I don't know, yeah.
But that's part of it. I think that's part of it. And I think part of why you don't get huge crowds at the basketball games is because you're looking at an alumni pool that's small. Baylor's a very small school. On top of that, you also have an alumni pool that's very spread out. Dallas, Houston, San Angelo.
Yeah.
You know?
So why not give the students more tickets if your alumni base is so spread out? The people in Waco, for whatever reason,
students don't really go that much either.
But they should. I don't understand why they don't.
They should, but they don't. I don't either.
Is it because Farrell's like a few minutes off campus? Is it because, not off campus, a few minutes away from where a lot of people live? Is it because it's inconvenient to get to? Like, what is the reason that we're not going to more basketball games? That doesn't resonate with me at all.
Part of me wants to say it's because students are studying. They're doing what they should be doing, and they're studying for classes, They're at a rigorous Division I, top-tier research university.
But when Kansas comes to town, you better take a missed assignment on whatever it is that you got to do. And you go and you watch your Bears.
You go and you watch them.
Don't you think?
Got Richard on the Impact Health, Richard on the caller line. Hey, Richard, what's going on? Talking about the new arena.
Yeah, that's a hot spot for me. I've been apologizing to players and coaches. I can't believe that we even kept Drew all these years because our attendance is dead last, and I mean dead last. Maybe TCU, but dead last in the conference. And the only time we have filled up the Farrell Center at 10,000 is when we get a whole bunch of Kansas people or Texas when they were halfway decent. Or A&M or even Tech when they were good. And it was almost 50-50, seems like. So we don't need more than 7,500 or even 6,500 because we need to fill it up and we need to create a home court advantage because we have never, ever had one.
And why is that? Why is there no home court advantage for a team that is now the best basketball program in the country? I feel like I'm a broken record here saying the same thing, but when your team is good, you go and watch them. I understand if Baylor was bad and like they weren't competitive in their games and and it was just a miserable experience to go watch. Like, I would get that, but you literally have the best team in the country for arguably the last 2 seasons. They've been competitive for the last, let's say, 8 to 10 years. Like, there's been something to watch at the Farrell. Why, as a student, do you not go and watch this? Yeah, I don't that makes no sense to me. TCU, I can get.
I don't get it either. I mean, what really bothers me is the students not going.
Yep.
And, they got singing practice, or they got, this, that, or the other. They ain't studying. We know that. So I don't get it, but it's been just pathetic.
Yeah.
Our home court advantage. So
what do you think?
And one of the places, I'm sorry.
No, keep going, Richard. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, you were talking about a downtown. What I've heard talked about was right next to Robinson, which is not downtown actually.
Yep.
But you have to cross I-35, so they'd have to have a walkway or something like that. And
we lose him?
Oh, we lost Richard.
Richard, the call line, if you're still listening out there somewhere, Richard, the call line drops callers just kind of on a whim from time to time. I think it resets itself every now and then. But I'm looking at attendance records right here, and some of the lowest attendi in the nation. Geez, and Baylor's just
not good.
It's not good, man.
Where are they nationally?
They're down there. Richard's calling us back, though. Richard, hey, we got you again. Can you hear us okay? Let's see. Richard, you got us?
This is Richard.
Richard,
hey, Richard, we got you.
The steam was blowing out of my face, so I think that's why I got cut off there. But anyway, they were talking about next to the Robinson Center, which would not be, it's just like right across the interstate from McLean.
Yeah.
So it would not really be any further than McLean. I don't know where we would put it on campus. Maybe to tear down a couple of apartments or something. But we definitely need the smaller arena.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Oh, to build that atmosphere.
I'm sorry?
To build that atmosphere, you're going to have to.
Absolutely. But there's no excuse for students not to be there.
Yeah. I think you have to look at what's the goal with the new stadium. Is it to have more attendance? Is it to have better game day atmosphere? Maybe those go hand in hand. Is it to enhance the game day buzz as a whole? Like, if you're downtown, you can go get a burger after the game more easily, and there is that strip. Like, if there's a strip downtown, that's freaking awesome. Like, that would totally enhance the game day experience. So I think it depends on what your priorities are, but there is a way to make this next stadium really, really cool. And I really hope that Baylor does what's necessary to do that, whether it's in the best interest of students coming to games or the game day experience afterwards. Like, there needs to be some sort of priorities that are very, very evident. Because if you just kind of put it anywhere and say we got a smaller stadium to fit, or make it look like there's more people there to fit less people to improve the on-court atmosphere, that's cool. But what are we really getting there?
I mean, Northwestern had 6,700 people at their games last year. Baylor had won 23 straight and averaged 6,200. You know,
wow.
I mean, you've got plenty of mid-major schools.
Season tickets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
that's season tickets too. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's only season tickets. I mean, and Kansas State last year 10,000. 2019 they had 10,000. Baylor had 6,000. I mean, and they're sharing their state with Kansas.
Yeah.
So you're looking at Houston. Houston had almost as much as Baylor last year, and they weren't even that great in 2019 in comparison to 2021. Richard, why do you think students don't go?
Iowa State puts 13,000.
Oh yeah, but good or bad?
They got to get out in the snow.
Yep. Hampton. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Well, Richard, before we get you to your Bear games, why do you think it is the students don't go?
Man, I can't explain that. I can't. I've just spent a lot of time apologizing for it.
Yeah.
No,
especially, basketball players, when they go to Kansas State and they got 14,000 or Kansas 16,000, that there's a basketball atmosphere. But we've had great teams, in the last 10 years. But getting students to go is an issue. I mean, I understand people from Houston and Dallas that can't go, but God.
Students.
You know who does
What
go?
else you got to do?
Drizzy Drake.
Yeah, I go.
Let's
Hey,
go.
Big 12 game?
yeah, I don't know. You downsize. That's what they're doing. We got Matt and DC on the back end of this line. Richard, if one Baylor player, Bear Games question of the day, one Baylor player on this current basketball roster that's got the best NBA, going to have the best NBA career, who do you think it's going to be?
Man, it's hard to bet against Mitchell, but everybody keeps talking about Matt, and I can understand why. But he needs another year at Baylor, that's for sure.
Yep.
Even though he's checking out the water. So I'll say Matt.
Matt Meyer, lock it in. Hey, thanks for your call, Richard.
All right. You guys have a good one.
You too.
What's your answer to that question?
Why don't they go?
Or no, who's your NBA guy from Baylor?
I like Matt.
Yeah.
Still. I'm going to process a little bit more. I haven't really processed it too much today.
That's a great question.
Looking right here, LSU, 10,000, 10-5 a game. This is 2019 when Baylor won a 23-game win streak. Wow. Oklahoma, 8,500. Oklahoma State, 7,200. Old Dominion, 6,600. Ole Miss, 7,800. Granted, hey, these are big schools. Old Dominion's not.
Sure.
But these are just mediocre basketball programs.
Yeah. And the brand, too. Like, Baylor's brand isn't that much. I think nationally, probably, especially now, the Baylor brand carries more weight. I get why the big schools like Ole Miss would have more attendance or LSU would have more attendance from a brand perspective because they're, the athletic program is the front porch of that school, where I think Baylor's still developing that, especially from some of the previous events that have transpired here.
Seton Hall, 8,500. Matt and DC. Matt, I know you got an opinion on this one. I know we've talked about it before. What is it that's keeping students away from games? What's going on?
Guys, it's very simple. I've said it before. Texas is a traditional football state, okay?
Yeah.
In Kansas, Iowa State, it's all basketball from birth, okay? Also, the other thing is we're a private school.
Yeah.
We have a lot of kids that are sons of doctors and lawyers instead of plumbers and electricians. If you look at state school, they're just rowdier and crazier. We just have a more, unless I'm wrong, that's just the vibe I get. You tell me, Drake, okay? You go, that's what I've noticed, okay? Nothing wrong with doctors and lawyers' kids, but sometimes I just don't think they're as rowdy as some state school guys. That's just the way it is.
I'll tell you this, Matt and DC.
But if you look,
they're rowdy, just not at basketball games.
Okay, I'm saying, but then you look at Duke, and they got the Cameron Crazies, but also they have 30 years of it. So when I think Baylor basketball, I think we're just 10 years into maybe that 30-year run. So I think in the next 20 years it's going to get a lot better because now we got, until you got the skin on the wall, then you ain't 100 until you got the skin on the wall. We got it now. But with the basketball arena, I think, if they're going to do it downtown, put it right next to Robinson Center. And I was thinking, I got to a couple years ago when I was in North Carolina, I got to go to a women's basketball game at the NC State basketball arena.
Yeah.
And what that is, it's an NHL arena and college basketball arena.
Wow.
So it's really small, but it has a professional vibe because you have the suites in it, but it's still pretty small. It's not like a giant 20,000-seat arena. So if they're going to do something they could do something like that, because I know the mayor of Waco is going to want concerts, events, WWE coming to downtown Waco, when they come through Texas. So, hey, do maybe 8,000 seats with suites and that semi-professional vibe, but still a close college atmosphere. What do you think?
I'm sold. I think that sounds great. As long as there is like that semi-collegiate vibe, because I think that's what makes it so special. Like if you can have that memory of how close you were to the floor with your friends camping out before a game. Like, remember when game day came for Kansas and it was just like people were sleeping in the Farrell Center and like that's an experience. I think that's what college game days, especially for basketball, are about. It's about the experience leading up to the game as much as the game itself.
Yeah, Matt and DC, I think a part of that, you're right. Doctors and lawyers and their kids probably aren't as privy to Baylor games or just sporting events in general, maybe, or they're kind of burnt out, washed out on it. Maybe that's the case in some of these, and they just want to spend their time differently. I think you are talking about a culture thing where you don't have a culture of passion for athletics for a lot of the students that are here. And those that do only want to see athletics that win. So they're used to winning and seeing winning. So they don't go to all the football games on seasons that are down years or the basketball games for the NIT years. But I think with your arena pitch, I love that. I think downtown could have a lot. It could bring something really nice to Waco that folks just, hey, let's go to the downtown strip, and there's the basketball arena and you get to go and you see it. And it's just this staple of Waco downtown. I think it could be really nice. Yeah. And also, it's smaller, and if you keep putting product out there, maybe you can fill it, and it becomes less of a convenience being downtown if you do it right.
Exactly. Like when I was at that NC State arena, when I walked in, it felt like a college basketball arena, but it just had like the video boards around it, and you see they had like one level of suites that surround the whole arena, which I think Baylor could use anyway. And then outside, I mean, you could put restaurants and bars and shops all around with a parking garage, and go from there. Whatever it takes. But if you want to, it's probably gonna be a multi-event center. If you get Waco to pay for a little bit of it, lease it out, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But I trust Mac. I mean, he's done a hell of a job so far. So whatever it is, on campus or off, it's going to be awesome. And we're going to fill it up now, because once you got the national championship, I mean, you're going to have people coming from all over.
You better, man.
You've got to.
You better.
Just to watch good basketball.
Yeah. And just to backtrack a little bit, if there was ever a time to put a stadium downtown in Waco, it would be right now with the national title, the way it's growing. Chip and Joanna pretty much have all the keys to the city, along with Scott Drew. They got a big old keychain of all the keys that are available in the city of Waco, I would assume.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it. I say do it.
Now's the time.
Matt and DC, Bear Games question of the day. Of all the guys on this roster, who is going to be the best NBA player?
And it's tough to predict futures, but just judging by size, I mean, I guess I got to lean with Matt Mayer just because how tall he is. Jared and Davion a little bit shorter, but I mean, they could still play ball in the league. But I mean, I think Matt's probably going to come back, because I mean, if he goes to the NBA next year, he's going to be playing against 30-year-olds and guys twice his size.
Yeah.
And that could, especially unless you go first round, you're going to go straight to the G League. You're playing Boise, Idaho, or up at the Frisco Center with the Dallas Mavs, which ain't bad, but I've been to those G League games. I mean, they're not as fun as playing for one more year at basketball or Baylor and then going, playing for the Spurs or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I realized that. I don't know if I realized that you go G League so often after the second round.
A lot of G League.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of G League. Hey, Matt and DC, thanks for your call.
Thank y'all.
All right, coming out the back end of this, we're going to do celebrity birthdays and this day in sports history. Jury's out, man.
Yeah, jury is way out. Jury is way out. It's also getting harder and harder to talk about stuff with the basketball season ending and football kind of being in a limbo with kind of spring season, kind of not.
Baseball's out there. It's just it's a matter of, man, there's so much I still want to get to in basketball, but gosh, it's tough.
Yeah.
Tough, man. All right, I'm Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims. When we come back, we're going to do celebrity birthdays and this day in sports history. Don't go anywhere, because this is Up Tempo.
Let the confetti rain and the people celebrate. Thousands of people piled the streets of Waco last night to see Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears celebrate the national championship with a much-anticipated parade. From Mack Rhodes and Scott Drew himself to every single basketball player, fans had the opportunity to hear from the champs themselves at the culmination of the parade. It was there, too, that Waco Mayor Dylan Meek officially declared April 13th to be Baylor Men's Basketball National Championship Day in the city. The parade was also said to be the largest in city history. Elsewhere in college basketball, Chris Beard created shockwaves in just 12 hours as he got commitments from Utah transfer Timmy Allen, Kentucky transfer Devin Askew, and Andrew Jones announced he would return to the program. And Creighton guard Marcus Zagorowski has declared for the NBA draft. Speaking of, Davion Mitchell made it official via Instagram last night that he will be entering the draft. Mitchell was projected to be the 7th player off the board. In Baylor news, the baseball team held Sam Houston at bay on the road 4-1, while men's tennis swept Midwestern State 7-0, and the women's golf team captured another outright tournament championship, winning the Lone Star Invitational. And tonight, the softball team returns from pause against Texas State at home, and women's tennis meets TCU in Fort Worth. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
One, two. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way. I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Like, I'm sitting there and I told him, I said, literally, I asked you not to put mayonnaise on the burger. Right. Like, if you ask someone not to put mayonnaise on it and they put mayonnaise on it, then why the flip, if they bring it with mayonnaise, should I have to eat it?
Tell me you called the manager.
No, literally, he wanted me to pay for it and I wasn't going to pay for it.
Was it Keith?
No, God, you know they fired Keith last week.
They should, dude. He put mayonnaise on 3 People's Burgers.
Oh, we're back. Shoot. Welcome back in the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. This is Up Tempo today.
Is that what this is?
Celebrity. I think we're doing celebrity birthdays.
Still, Keith, if you're watching, dude, this is on you.
Well, we should just bury that. Fire that in the sun. Is there a way? Do we have like a buffer? Is there a way to delete like the last?
That's there forever.
Are we live right now?
Is there a way to delete like the last minute of the show?
I wish.
Is there a delay?
No.
Can you bleep us out?
Shoot.
No.
What do we even say?
Can you bleep us like a sword?
You're talking about the mayonnaise on your sandwich.
We're gonna get fired.
It was bound to happen. I'm surprised it was this and not something happening.
Dead or Alive that we play every Tuesday.
I was gonna say the Syracuse stuff.
Oh, the Syracuse. We need to revisit
the Syracuse tapes.
I can't wait for the 6-month anniversary of this show so we can play moments like that back over again.
Oh gosh.
Birthday is today. There are many of them. Happy birthday if it is your birthday today. Thank you for the music.
We usually don't have music, but I needed it.
Peter Capaldi, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Abigail Breslin. Anybody?
What?
I've never heard of these people.
Baker Mayfield's birthday is today. He's the 12th most famous person, and I've never heard of anybody in front of him.
26.
Is it? You said 26?
26.
No way.
Yep.
Y'all know it's Sam DeLong's birthday today?
Nailed it.
Who?
Sam DeLong. Y'all know what he's in?
No.
He's my neighbor when I was a kid. It's actually not his birthday.
Sam DeLong.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, I wonder if I could just say a random name. People be like, oh, no way, it's his birth. Really? Dude, Sarah Gellar? I've never heard of Sarah Gellar. Who is
Sarah Gellar?
What does Sam DeLong do for a living now?
Dude, he was in a band. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know what he's doing now, but I don't know. I don't know if he's a celebrity.
I could be a hand model.
It's not his birthday.
It's
you
not
could
his
be a
birthday.
calf model, Armstrong, but you could be.
I have a great calf.
You could be you could be a mannequin.
I am both uncomfortable and like the discussion about my calves.
We need to do a whole show on that one day.
How old's Loretta Lynn today?
Oh, I'm going to
Do you know who this is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 62.
89. How old's Anthony
She's
Michael?
way older than I thought.
Anthony Michael Hall.
I still don't know who this is.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Anthony Michael Hall is a famous. I've heard of him.
Okay.
Anthony Michael Hall, Breakfast Club. He's in Breakfast Club.
Oh, okay.
16 Candles. He's the nerd guy.
60.
Okay.
53.
When is it Stephen Vaughn's birthday?
We can ask him.
I hope it's his birthday.
Ask him.
Also, Luna Stevens. How old is Luna Stevens today?
32.
Okay.
28.
She's 5.
Is that a real person?
Anderson Silva. How old's Anderson Silva?
I know that name. He's a little older, isn't he?
Hand model.
Anderson Silva is 31.
Okay.
35.
46.
No
I know, that's what I
way.
said. I feel like he's really...
The fighter, right?
This day in sports history, Chicago White Sox pitcher Ed Cicotti, no hits. The St. Louis Browns 11-0. What?
The St. Louis Browns?
Yeah. What year?
22 BC.
Okay. We have 22 BC.
1937.
Oddly enough, he's closer. 1917. 1917.
Really? No kidding. Okay.
Closer.
38th Grand No, that's I don't want to do that. Let's do 171st Grand National. Davey Russell wins aboard 10-1 Tiger Roll in a photo finish from Pleasant Company.
1974.
2018. 2018. Oh, you know what that means. Yeah.
Later, guys.
171st. Also, 83rd U.S. Masters. Tiger Woods wins it.
Was that 2019?
2019.
There you go, Ty.
2019.
El Tigre.
I'm Drake Toll, J.D. Pickell, Armstrong Sims. When we come back tomorrow, we open the show with Coach Felisa Mulkey, a 6 or 7 or 8 or 9-time national champion. Maybe she'll do it again this year. Playoffs are coming up for them and volleyball. We'll talk about it tomorrow on tomorrow's show. During tomorrow, this has been Up Tempo.